Well, well, well. Cowboys, absolutely fantastic. And I do mean fantastic. It was a fantastic draft. Man, the Dallas Cowboys kind of had us going up and down with our emotions. But man, when they got Jordan Blue, you could just tell, man. You could just tell people were acting different after we got Jordan Blue. And then after we got Maffa, I think his name is. Oh man, people really start getting funny then, boy. Boy, people still really start getting funny. So, man, Cowboys again had a fantastic draft according to not just me, not just other Dallas Cowboy fans, but by the media pundits. They are all saying the Cowboys had an absolutely great draft. And so it looks like we are still out here trying to figure out this thing with wide receiver, but we're going to get that done. But again, I got my shades on. These are actually not my shades. My wife went to a Dallas Cowboy football game last year. I refused to go. She went to a Dallas Cowboy football game last year because it was, matter of fact, I think it was like the second game that Cooper Rush was going to start. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. I said, thanks, but no thanks. I could not go see Cooper Rush. No offense to Cooper Rush. I just couldn't do it. She bought these Dallas Cowboy glasses. So I figured, why not? Since we feeling so good, so fresh, so clean. The Cowboys had a great draft. Let's get a quick roll call in here. It is early. I know I came in early today. Rather than late, I came in early because I got some things I got to take care of. We are still trying to work. We got the tools replaced. So now we got to get the thing fixed behind me as far as what we're going to put on the wall back here. Got a few more things to do as far as the paint in here. Also, tomorrow is my middle son's birthday, so me and my wife got to do a couple of last minute things. So I'm on early, and I'm going to probably get out of here in about 6:30. But I wanted to visit with my Cowboys family tonight. Let's get a quick roll call in here. And then, let me introduce the topics. We'll give people a few more minutes to come in. So, what we're actually going to be looking at today, we're going to look at the undrafted free agent update list. Cowboys continue to add people to that list. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't really seen anybody yet that just really makes my spidey senses start tingling. But again, there are some people that are saying, we'll look at this probably in a couple of more days once the dust settles and we kind of get past this draft recap. We will start doing some profiles on some of these undrafted free agents. But I just want to give us a quick update today. Then we will be looking at Brian Broaddus. Brian Broaddus breaks down the Dallas Cowboys 2025 draft class. So I want to check out. I haven't even seen it. So we're all going to watch it and react to it together. Quick update on receiver updates. We're getting excited again about trying to get a wide receiver in free agency. I would caution everybody on this wide receiver business with the Dallas Cowboys. I would caution everybody, be patient. Be patient on this. The Cowboys are not going to break the bank, so we might as well prepare ourselves. They're not going to break the bank on a wide receiver. So we're going to do an update on that, and then finally we'll look at some news updates around the league, and then we're going to get out of here. But again, welcome to Let's Talk Cowboys, and we talk facts. We're going to get us a quick roll call in here. And then we're going to hit those topics one more time. And then we're going to get into our first update for the day. All right. I hope y'all ready for a great show today. Let's do it. I take my glasses. I take them shades off because my eyesight ain't what it used to be. John Jones in the crib. What up with you? My man, Timothy Golden. Whoa. Let me tell you something, man. We'll add the Timothy Golden. We'll add the Shedeur Sanders thing. How about we talk about that towards the end before we get out of here? I got an update on. I got some updates on this stuff. And after listening to more people talk about it, I think we might look at it a little bit different, Timothy. But again, welcome to the show. Appreciate you. He said, thanks for a great draft day weekend. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Lord Nova, I got you. We're going to get that wrench here soon enough. I got you. P-Funk, my man, he's at the Best Cowboy Podcast Show. I appreciate you. My man, Keith up in here. What up? Dak owns Filthy, the only man that has an advertising contract on his name. He said, Dak owns Filthy and Mango. He said, what up, G? Marlon, Dilla, salute. X Brown, what's going on? Hallelujah, hallelujah. What's going on? Good to see you up in here. Yes. Yeah, my man, Jared, number one, Dak Prescott fan. I'm number two. Dak, what's going on? He said Dak will shock the haters. Dallas will be much better if healthy. They will challenge for the division. Oh, if Dak is healthy, we're winning 10 or 11 games easy. Might even be 12 if you keep playing with us. Saw the video of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Can't help to be impressed. They're getting on that connection again. Mirko, my man, what up? Man, you know what? I'm gonna just keep battling, bro. I'm feeling better, but I'm gonna keep battling either way. I appreciate you. Bleeding Blue, what's crack-a-lacking? Yes, sir. He said, I'm giving our draft class in 8th grade. I got you, brother. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yes, sir. He said, how you like me now? Yes, sir. They don't know nothing about that cool. They don't know about that cool Mo D. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. My man, Bleeding Blue. That super sticker. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. My man, No Cap. He said, I like the Cowboys draft. Why no wide receiver? And why not take a running back with your first 3 picks? The 49ers have Christian McCaffrey and Garando, yet Kyle still drafted 2 of the top 10 running backs in the draft. Well, No Cap, what wound up happening to the Cowboys, I think by them getting Booker, and this is what happened on my mock drafts, No Cap, by them getting Booker, all the wide receivers, and I knew this, all the wide receivers and running backs would be gone. If you picked the wide receiver, all the running backs were gone. Well, if you picked the lineman, pretty much most of the wide receivers in the top 5 are going to be gone, and the top 5 running backs, and that's what happened to them. And if you listen to the Cowboys, they actually did try to do it earlier, and that's why on day 2, I think they were really disappointed. Dustin Roberts in the crib. What up with you? What up? What up? Yes, sir. All right. Dwayne Robertson here. What up? What up? Me too. I love what we did. Appreciate you. My man, David J. Yes, sir. He said, I'm hearing rumors about Amari Cooper. I saw that. Appreciate that $2 super chat. Church. Ty Church in the crib. What's going on with you? Bronco fans for life. What's up with you? He said NFL owners ordered entitled Shedeur Sanders to be taken off draft boards. Boomer Esiason. Wow. Okay, I hadn't heard that part, Broncos for life. But we're going to see what it do. D Block 88. What up? What up? Yes, sir. A-Dot in the crib, too. Pure Gaming in here. Oh, Cliff Rockefeller. What up? D-Web 9 Ether. What's up? Julian Hunter. What up? What it do? Sexy Suze. How you doing tonight? Yup. All right. Let's announce our topics one more time. The music cut off right on time. Let's announce our topics one more time. If you can see them on the screen, we're going to do a quick UDA, undrafted free agency update. The broadest recap. We're going to do the receiver updates as someone has talked about. And then we're going to do the news update. And I'll close out with the news update with a little bit on Shedeur Sanders. There are some more things that have come down the pipe on Shedeur Sanders that has kind of brought some light to some of this stuff too. But again, at the end of the day, this is his plight now. This is his cup to bear. This is his road. When he get that opportunity, he better take advantage of it. What up, Jason Lewis? Let's get into this first topic for the day.
Yes! Here we go!
So, the Dallas Cowboys undrafted free agency list. I was really hoping to have a little bit more firepower on this, but we don't have it just yet. And there are some people who have been talking. I've seen a couple of people talking about some of the ones that we do have, but I still don't see anyone that just makes me go, like, things that make you go, I haven't seen one of those type of people yet. But again, there are some people who are saying that the Cowboys may have gotten a couple of diamonds in the rough. So let's check them out. This is the updated free agency tracker list. Says the Cowboys are still adding players to their players following their 2025 draft. And you know what? Let me tell you, this is one of the reasons too that I'm giving the Dallas Cowboys an A. I'm giving the Dallas Cowboys an A- for the draft, which is still an A. I'm giving them a B+ for free agency. And when you kind of put that overall, it kind of equals out to about an A-, somewhere about an A- or an A. But I'm giving the Dallas Cowboys the solid A for the free agency and the draft so far because they have continued to stay busy. They continue to stay busy. They didn't do this last year. They didn't do this the year before last. They didn't do this type of stuff. The Cowboys are staying busy, man. They're keeping their eye out. And again, we know they're not going to break the bank. Not on the players outside of the organization. Now, they'll break the bank and 2 banks on the players inside the organization, but they won't break the bank on the outside stuff. And I mean, it would just have to be somebody that would just be season changing. And so when you kind of look at what they've done so far all together, it's been great. And now when you add the undrafted free agents, you got Trayshawn Holden, we got Zion Childress. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go over this we'll probably go through this list in depth on Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, I just want to show you the names. Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll start doing some profiles on some of these players because I still got videos I want to make about the guys about the people that we drafted, about the young men we drafted. But again, we got Trayshawn Holden, the wide receiver from Oregon. We got Zion Childress, cornerback from Kentucky. We got Elijah Clark, the safety from Syracuse. Rivaldo Fairweather, the tight end from Auburn. Justin Barron, the linebacker from Syracuse. Josh Kelly, wide receiver, Texas Tech. Mike Smith, safety, Eastern Kentucky. Bruce Harmon, cornerback. Looks like he's from Stephen F. Austin. Then you got Tyler Neville, tight end from Virginia. Now, I'm going to tell you something I've noticed about these undrafted free agents, just glancing at them. They don't have a lot of mileage on their bodies. They don't have a lot of mileage on their bodies. They don't have a lot of games. And it looks like the Cowboys and what Will McClay tries to do, Will McClay tries to find those players who don't have a lot of mileage, but they have a high upside. So that's kind of where he's going. And that's what I've been noticing about these undrafted free agents. So we'll look at some profiles on them. We'll look at some profiles on them and see how everything goes. My man, Mike Smooth. Yes, sir. I got everything sent out. I'll be sending y'all some tracking numbers here pretty soon. But I got everything. Well, I shouldn't say I got them sent out. I mean, where I ordered them from, New Era. I already ordered them, but they hadn't sent me the tracking numbers. But they have already sent me like a little message telling me everything is on the way. So, yep. Yes, sir. I got you, my man. I appreciate you. Intelligent Savage, my man. What's up? Excellent draft to me, no doubt. Yes, sir. I loved it. It was absolutely great. Bleeding Blue, he said, before we kick off on opening day, we're going to make more moves than X-Lax. Boy, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt about it. I believe you. My man, Azteca, what's going on with you? All right, so all of these, according to Azteca, he said these are all great picks that we just named. Jared Thomas, he said, Shotty wants to go after those Eagles, and a way to do it is to win in the trenches, putting more pressure on Jalen Hurts. And, boy, they've done that. They have done that in spades. Cowboy Nation 600, what's up with you? Good to see you. But again, this is kind of like this little updated list, and we'll go over this more in the next 2 to 3 days. But I want to kind of finish up on the recap and the draft with a few more profile videos. I think I got about maybe 4 more to go because, man, I have definitely got to do a profile video on the big running back we got, man. This dude right here. Whoo, man. This running back the Cowboys picked up, the Maffa dude. I'm telling you, don't let anybody fool you on this dude. This dude from Clemson, he is not just a short yardage back. Don't let anybody fool you. Don't let anybody fool you. Jordan Blue. People try to, I've seen some videos and people are, talking about he doesn't have a lot of carries. He doesn't have a lot of snaps. He doesn't have a lot of plays, all of those different things. Let me tell you something. Will McClay has done his homework. You are looking at the new thunder and lightning for the Dallas Cowboys. This dude, Maffa, I got a strange feeling this dude is going to be the Cowboys' number one back. He is going to work his way towards being the Dallas Cowboys' number one back. And this dude, Jaden Blue, is going to be the change-up back. He's going to be the out of the backfield back. They're probably going to line him up on the outside sometimes. You watch what I tell you. Jordan Blue is going to be a flat-out playmaker for the Dallas Cowboys. And this dude, Maffa, I am telling y'all, this dude, I'm getting visions of a Terrell Davis type of pickup by the Dallas Cowboys. The type of running back that once they get him healthy, because I think he had a couple of injuries last year. That's the only thing that kind of slowed him down. But this kid, boy, when they get this dude and they get this system, he's going to be a problem. Book it. He's going to be a problem for the NFL. He's going to be a problem. I'm telling you. When you get a kid that big, that fast, and is twitchy, Maffa is not just a power back. He twitchy. This dude right here, man. I'm telling you. This dude right here. He is hands down for me. Maffa is the best pick in the draft for the Dallas Cowboys. He's the best pick in the draft. We are going to be looking back on this draft, and we're going to be saying, Will McClay is a genius. We're going to be looking back at this draft, and we're going to literally say, Will McClay is a bona fide genius. The Cowboys, and they did. Understand this, guys. No cap if you're still in the room. They wanted Quinshon Judkins. I guarantee you Quinshon Judkins was the running back the Cowboys were going to get. What happened is Quinshon Judkins went before Travion Henderson. Shocked everybody. I don't know if it shocked everybody, but let me say this. It definitely shocked me and some people who were on the live that day. Shocked me that Quinshon Judkins went first. I knew Quinshon would probably go. I knew he would go in round 2. I didn't know he'd go that quick. I don't think the Cowboys thought he would go that quick. I also think the Cowboys thought there was going to be a chance Luther Burden III was going to be there. I think what also shocked them is how fast Emeka Egbuka went off that doggone board. I mean, quickly. These guys went off quickly. So the Cowboys, as they said, they stayed with their board. And they got the best player available left on their board. That's what they did. Tyler Booker was not rated as high as Ted McMillan. But once Ted McMillan was gone, Booker was on the board. They took him. They got to the second round. They didn't have Donovan, Ezeraku, and Savon. I'm not really sure on Savon, but I know they didn't have either one of these players ranked higher than probably Burden III, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson. They didn't have them ranked on their boards as high as those guys, but they left. And so what the Cowboys did, and this is kind of what they were explaining, they stayed with their board. If the player they wanted was gone, who was the next best player available on their board? Donovan Ezeraku, Savon Revell Jr. And that's how this draft went. And now it lets us know, though, by the way they did their board, they had a backup plan at running back. They had a backup plan. When you listen to the hidden calls, whatever they call them, they already had planned on getting Jaden Blue if they didn't get their running back. But I'm going to tell you this. They might have had Jaden Blue already planned even if they got their running back. Because Jaden Blue is faster. What do you run at the combine? 4.2, something like a 4.29, 4.25. Jaden Blue was probably going to be picked up by the Cowboys no matter who they got it as the first running back. But because they didn't get the running back, Jaden Blue still there. Jaden Blue probably was there at the 5th all along. I would love to know this. But then again, Maffa was the plan. That if they didn't get Henderson, they didn't get Juckins, and I don't think they were ever going to get Genty. Amarian Hampton, if you passed on him, was probably going to be a long shot of getting him outside the first round. The Cowboys already had the plan in place. Because if you listen to Jerry Jones, Will McClay was hollering Jaden Blue 5 days before the draft. Will McClay was hollering Jaden Blue 5 days before the draft, so that lets you know he was probably exactly where the Cowboys wanted him to be, and then Maffa was the backup plan in case they didn't get the running back up there in the first, and he probably would have been, if they'd have got another running back, wouldn't have got Jaden Blue, he was probably still in the plans back there, because the crazy thing is, people kept saying Damian Martinez was tied to the Cowboys. Cowboys passed up Damian Martinez. So, hey, I'm telling you, Intelligent Savage, Phil Maffa, I'm telling you, they are going to turn Phil Maffa into a superstar in this league. Yes, sir, Michael Smooth. Jaden Blue is going to be a problem. There is no doubt about it. Jaden Blue and Maffa are both going to be a problem. Can y'all imagine both of them on the field at the same time? I want y'all to just think about these scenarios. Just dream for a moment. And we're not even going to have to dream. Just dream until the season begins. Can you imagine Cavante Turpin, Jaden Blue on the field at the same time? Phil Maffa in the backfield. Can you imagine those three players on the field at the same time with C.D. Lamb as the wideout? Tell me, y'all, if we take those players into the 2023 Green Bay game, and what I'm saying by that is, if we had that type of firepower in 2023, how much you bet the 2023 season turns out differently? How much do you bet the 2023 season turns out totally differently? The Cowboys have absolute firepower, point blank range. They have absolute firepower. Haven't even added the wide receiver yet, y'all. Haven't even added the wide receiver yet. How crazy is it? How crazy is this? And if the Cowboys can get a wide receiver, and I don't think we need to be talking about the names like George Pickens. I don't think it's going to happen. Cortland Sutton. Just get those names out of your mind. The Cowboys we're hearing names like Amari Cooper. I would love for Amari Cooper to bring back, but it's going to be hard. It is going to be hard. But just with what the Cowboys have right now, and I'm telling y'all, do not sleep. Do not sleep on Jonathan Mingo. Do not sleep on Jonathan Mingo. I'm telling you, the Cowboys right now, they look way better than they did last year. Right now. Now what we got to do, get them in training camp, get these coaches to training, get these coaches to coaching. Let's see what the chemistry is like between Shotty and his coaching staff on the field. And then let's see what does it look like with Shotty, his coaches, and the players on the field. See, let's see if we're going to be out of the coach of the country club coaching style that we've had for years. That when we go into training camp, we already know who the starters are. What was I saying not even 2 months ago? When we go into this training camp, the only name I want to see on the board, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Parsons, Oso Digizua. Every other name, you're going to have to battle it out. We're throwing a piece of pork chop in the middle of the yard with a whole bunch of dogs that haven't ate. Whoever get the pork chop, that's who eat. The Cowboys have created competition. When you create competition, that's how you create dogs. I told y'all this story before. My uncle, he's younger than me. We were growing up. He had a pit bull. And man, let me tell you something. You tell me, people who understand something about dogs fighting. Some people think it's the dogs that's fighting that determines who are the winner in the dog fights. Nah, It's not the dogs that's fighting. It's the dog trainers. It's the dog trainers. When you get two dogs who can truly do what they do, it now comes down to the dog trainers. How has the trainer trained those dogs? And for all intents and purposes, it seemed like we got some dog trainers because the coaches seem like dogs. So we're going to see, what does all this now look like on the field? That's the next part. That's the next part. That's the next part. So we're not counting the chickens before they hatch, but at the same time, we definitely looking at them eggs. we definitely looking at them eggs, and we like, hey man, hold on a second. Hold on a second. My grandfather had a chicken coop in the backyard, man, when I was growing up. Let me tell you something. Boy. Them hens started laying them eggs. Hey, man, you weren't eating breakfast yet, but you were sure looking at them eggs like, man, yes, sir. Cowboys about to do the thing. Mario, he said, way too early to crown them with those titles. Let them first. There is some potential. Well, again, I'm not crowning them too fast because we don't have to just guess on these players. No, Phil Maffa is a monster. Go look at the tape. The dude is a monster. The dude, Jaden Blue, go look at the tape. The limited tape on Jordan Blue. Go look at it. Jordan Blue will disconnect your ankles. Jordan Blue would disconnect your ankles. And everything the Cowboys have did in the trenches, man, I'm sorry. We cannot help but be ecstatic about the Cowboys trenches. The Cowboys have went to great lengths to try to build this offensive and defensive line. They've done a great job. And I don't think they're done. I don't think the Cowboys are done by any stretch of the imagination. The Cowboys are going to see what happens in training camp. They're also going to be looking, watch this, post June 1st cuts. There are going to be some cuts. There will be some teams. They will be parting ways with players. They're going to be parting ways with players. Book it. Get ready. And this is what makes this whole thing about the Cowboys so fascinating this year. In years past, this would be it for us. In years past, we wouldn't even be able to talk like this. But that's not what they're doing anymore. This year, they have stayed busy. They're still busy. But I'm still cautioning everybody, be patient. Be patient. The Cowboys really don't have to rush and get a wide receiver this week. Be patient. We need to get the guys that we have. Let's go ahead and get them going. Let's let the coaching staff get their feet on the ground, boots on the ground. Let's let everybody start getting everything going. The wide receiver spot, and I'm glad. I hope the Cowboys, again, they didn't listen to us. They didn't listen to us as it applied to the draft. They didn't listen to us. Amen. They didn't listen to us. Everybody was talking about who they should have gotten. We wanted them to get certain people. They didn't listen to us. They stuck with their board. And so because they stuck with their board, they didn't listen to us, and we're happy with their draft. For the most part, we're happy with their draft. And so now we just got to trust the process. We watched the coaches they hired. Check. I feel real good about the coaches. We've watched free agency. Check. Feel real good about free agency. We've seen the draft. Check. Feel good about the draft. So now let's just now be patient. It's time to get on the field a little bit. Training camp is going to start revving up. We're going to get into the June and the Julys. Everything's going to start revving up. There'll be teams that'll be releasing players. The Cowboys will probably get some of those, 1 or 2, 3. Who knows what they'll get of those players. Don't forget, after the preseason, you still get the opportunity to add to your team because there will be teams. Boy, let me tell you something. There are going to be some good to great players that will not be on teams after the preseason. And there's another name we probably need to keep our eyes and ears open for. Isaiah Bonds. Do not rule out Isaiah Bonds being in Dallas. I bet you there is nobody who knows more about what's going on with Isaiah Bond than Jerry Jones. He's right here in Dallas. All they're waiting on is for that thing to work itself out. And I'm pretty sure other teams are too. But I guarantee you, Jerry Jones has got his ear to the ground on this Isaiah Bond thing. And we'll see how that goes too. But for all intents and purposes, man, the Cowboys right now, everything we're seeing, boy, the Cowboys looking pretty doggone good. And they look better than what they did last year. Iceberg Slim, I think it is going to take a miracle to get Amari Cooper back. I think it's going to take a miracle. Jameson Taylor, I hope everything's well. I hope you're feeling good. I'm telling you, it's going to take a miracle to get Amari Cooper back. I would love to bring Amari Cooper in. Him and Dak Prescott was special. I'd like to see what it looks like again. Pure Gaming, he says Revel and Blue, he said they are his favorite draft picks. Hey, man, this dude Revel got an opportunity to be an absolute beast. D Block, he said, guy, you my guy. He said, but I'm not sure if anyone was surprised, bro. Hey, you know we were surprised, D Block. You know we were surprised. You wasn't surprised, but we were surprised. Because you even talked about it during the draft. Yeah, we were surprised. We thought they were going to do this, that, and the other. And they shocked us. I mean, a lot of people didn't even know who these players were, D Block. When the Cowboys were drafting, we were like, okay, huh? We had to go start searching the internet, like, who is this player right here? But the Cowboys, like you said, D Block, and like I said, they stuck with their board. They did, and I appreciate that type of discipline. Tim Pinelli in the crib, what's going on with you? Yes, sir. God bless. Mark Vasquez, what's going on? Yeah, solid draft. Not flashy, but high-ceiling players. See, Mark, that's the key. I noticed this is what Will McClay does. He tries to find these players where the upside is extremely high. And he's saying that, hey, we can bring these guys in. Y'all can coach these guys through the way you coach and the scheme that you're going to run, and these players can be superstars. This is kind of what he's saying. So anyway, let's get to it.
Yes! Here we go!
Let's get to this Brian Broaddus thing. D Block, you probably watch a lot of college football. Now, I think we did know who Booker was, but some of these other players, man, Donovan Ezeraku, I didn't know who he was. Savon Revel Jr., shoot, I didn't know who he was. You know, but the real college football watchers, and I'm not a real college football watcher, the real college football watchers, they kind of knew, they did kind of know about Savon Revel. That's why a lot of them were so excited. And then when I started hearing them talk about him and then going back and doing research on him, I'm like, man, boy, we got a steal on this dude. And I was even hearing today on his injury report, they said on his injury report, this is not the Jaden Smith pickup that we did a few years ago. No, he had a clean tear. Routine surgery. Everything looks good. He's on track. He's on track. We'll see him in training camp. He'll be back before Trayvon Diggs. Boy, Iceberg Slim. Yes, sir. Remember how the Saints used to use Reggie Bush on linebackers and safeties on third down, lining them up in the slot. Boy, Reggie Bush was a problem, man. Reggie Bush was a problem, Iceberg Slim. Yes, sir. Dak didn't sit out. He has a football field in his backyard. Man, you know what? Dak Prescott is actually working out. I mean, the videos have already been circulating. This dude is already working out with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb said, "Foe is back. Foe is back." So, Neo, what's going on, Neo? Well, he from the Matrix now. He got the Keanu Reeves thing up here. I see you. He said, "Gee, it's like you said, not this year, but next year and beyond." Yes, sir. Lions 2.0 started flashing at the end 2 years ago, and we saw what happened. I've been saying it, Neo. People do not understand. Steven understands, because you can kind of hear Steven talking like this. This isn't about this year. This year is the notice sign. The Cowboys have put up the notice sign on the NFC East, the NFC, and the NFL. They put up the notice sign. You will no longer call us soft again. You will no longer call us punks again. You will no longer come into AT&T Stadium. You will no longer come in there and push us around like we're the visiting team and you're the home team. You will not run over, through, and around us again. You will not be able to just double team CeeDee Lamb again. You're not going to rush 4 and drop 7 on us again. The Cowboys are putting people on notice. Next year, though, watch what they look like. This year is just, we are just watching the cement being mixed and poured this season. Wait until next season. It'll be quality over quantity. They're going to have all these players they bought in the 1-year rentals, but notice what they put behind them. The guys who will be the depth next year. So the next year when you go in the draft, it'll be purely best player available. Any free agents you bring in, you can bring in some true impact free agents and say, hey, we're not going to spread the money around and try to get 15 free agents. No, we're going to spend money. Maybe we'll bring in 7 or 8 free agents. The Cowboys, I'm telling you, they're on their way to building a team. And this is the thing they've made the mistake on all these years. So now we're going to see how it turns out. But I'm loving how everything is going.
Yes! Here we go!
All right, so Brian Broaddus, ex-Dallas Cowboys scout, 105.3 The Fan, he decided to give the fans a draft recap. So I haven't heard it. Yes, sir, my man. Hey, Dot, he said talk to him, G. Yes, sir. I haven't heard it, so we're going to see what it do. We're going to see what it do. But I'm very interested in what Brian Broaddus has to say about the Cowboys draft. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think he liked it pretty much, but I'm going to see it. Jared said, gee, we know personally how insane Reggie Bush was. Boy, do we. In a game in Dallas in 2006, he tore us apart this rookie year. Bush was special when he had to be. Yes, he was, man. My man Daniel Lim up in here, he said, I already know what the Cowboys are going to make a move for at wide receiver. It may not be what we want, though. Daniel Lim, let me tell you something. The Cowboys, and I've been saying this, they're telegraphing us who the wide receiver is. I mean, not the wide receiver who they may pick up, but they're telegraphing us something about their wide receiver room. Jonathan Mingo. They're banking on Jonathan Mingo. And let me tell you something. When you look at Jonathan Mingo in pads and you go back and look at some of his college tape, you feel pretty good about Jonathan Mingo. The Carolina stint has got some people doubting. So let's see what he looks like with Dak Prescott. And that's what they're trying to see. So, again, my man Ice Cold Cowboy up in here, what's going on? He said, I noticed Sanders lost out on $40 million by falling to the 5th. Yeah, we're going to talk about him at the end here. But, again, let's see what we got here. Yes, sir. Cowboy hater herder. But man, what up with you? Good to see you. All right, let's check this thing out with Brian brought us.
All right, Brian. We get through the draft and a lot of really good value that the Cowboys got across the board. Maybe didn't address your biggest needs in a timely manner that people wanted. You didn't get a wide receiver 2 at all. You waited till the 5th to get a running back. But overall, when you look at the draft class that they got, the players that they got, how do you evaluate the haul that the Cowboys got over the weekend?
Yeah, I really do appreciate you retweeting the clip I had, the question I asked Ross Winchie, the national scout for the Cowboys. And it appeared to me they really set their board up not thinking about needs. They set their board up, to reflect the players that they liked. And they picked their board is what they did. And it's funny, I know on my particular stack of the 235 players that I studied, I had it in reverse order. Their third-round player was my best player. Their second-round player was my next best player. And the player that they took first was the third best player. So it was the way, if you could get, just on my evaluation, if you could get 3 players in the first 37 picks, that tells me a lot right there. And I really do believe that they I think we're all a little guilty, guys, leading up to the draft. And I'm talking about the media and maybe even the national media as well. We were talking about receiver, Golden, Millen, Abuka, Golden.
So before Brian goes on, Intelligent Savage, some of you D-Block 88, you seem to watch a lot of college football. Y'all tell me what you think about this, because I want to really interpret something that Brian is mentioning that I think is very important. So he talked about how he, as far as the Cowboys players, they picked in the first 2 rounds. So he's saying, it sounded like he was saying Savon Revel was number 1, Devereaux was number 2, Booker was number 3, correct? But I want us to all think about why the Cowboys, because he said he looked at it in reverse. But let's think about why the Cowboys were very smart in what they did. D-Block, you and Intelligent Savage and the rest of y'all who watch college football, y'all tell me what you think and tell me if this makes sense. But the way the draft was going, it was a trench draft. It was a trench draft. And I'm telling us now, any pick different in 1, 2, and 3, you don't get Booker. You don't get Ezraku. Booker was not going to be there if the Cowboys would have flipped, if they would have tried to come back around on him. I don't think Booker's there. People were salivating over the trenches, and I'm telling you, people were reaching on the trenches. Even the Cowboys said they didn't have Booker rated right there. They didn't have him rated right there. I guarantee you it was Genty, it was Tet, and then Booker. Well, because those other 2 were gone, the Cowboys were not going to say, okay, well, those 2 were gone. Let us go ahead and get Quinshon Judkins now. And then we'll come back on day 2. Or no, we'll come back on we'll come back on day 2 and we'll get Quinshon Judkins. No, you were not. You were not going to get Quinshon. You were not going to get Quinshon Judkins on day 2 because he was gone on day 2. And you definitely wasn't going to circle the block on Tyler Booker. You were not circling the block on Tyler Booker and getting him at the number 44 spot in the number 44 spot in the second round. You were not getting Tyler Booker that low. I mean, yeah, you were not getting him that low. You were not. The board strategy they made was smart, because I'm going to tell you another one. As much as some people don't like Donovan Ezraku, they were not circling the block and getting Donovan Ezraku either. They were not circling the block. Why? Because it was a war of the trenches in the draft. There are so many of these linemen. They went way higher. In past drafts, these guys, they'd have been probably 2 rounds lower. There are guys who were drafted in the 2nd round. I promise you, if it wasn't the trenches, if this wasn't the war of the trenches, those guys do not go in some of the rounds they went in. The Cowboys, they had to get Tyler Booker if they wanted their Zach Martin replacement. They had to get Tyler Booker. There was no other option. Donovan Ezeraku. And especially when you figure in the Cowboys are looking for the character guys. If the Cowboys wait, they're not getting Donovan Ezeraku. They're not getting Savon Revel Jr. Another one of the reasons, they don't have a 4th-round pick. The way this draft fell for the Cowboys, even though they didn't get Ted McMillan, even though they didn't get Quinshawn Judkins, Travion Henderson, fill in the blank on those top 5 wide receiver, top 5 running backs. But overall, sometimes when you don't get what you want, it's the very thing that forces you to get what you need. And when you look at the way the Cowboys drafted, after it's all said and done, for the most part, the Cowboys got exactly what they needed. Exactly what they needed. They got trenches. They got an additional edge rusher. They put some depth at linebacker. They got the best cornerback, arguably. They got the best cornerback in the draft if he would have been healthy. They got him in the 3rd round. The Cowboys, I'm telling you, the way this draft turned out, and by them sticking to their board, they couldn't have done it any other way and got who they got. Let me see what my man D Block said up here. Let me go up a little bit, then I'm gonna get to D Block here. I see my man up in here. The dude, what up with you? Iceberg Slim, Jonathan Mingo versus Ryan Flanoy. And I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people sleeping on Ryan Flanoy. He's a big body wide receiver too. Not quite as muscular, though, as Jonathan Mingo. When Jonathan Mingo look like he wearing pads with no pads on. Let me see here. Daniel, let me go down a little bit more. The dude, what's going on? He says signing on only to see Bobby Bell and Brothers, G. Yeah, so we're going to listen to some stuff that they talking about. Let's see what up. Revel, a beast move like, Rivaldo, a beast moves like Antonio Gates. He's not him just movement. Quack Quack, he said Brothers tells it how he sees it. Daniel says, I feel like CD chokes in crunch time, but maybe he'll rise up with experience. And also, Daniel, what they're going to do is they're going to alleviate some pressure off of both CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. And what's going to alleviate the pressure, Daniel Gonzalez, and this is the mistake that we've made over the last few seasons. The way you alleviate pressure off of a wide receiver, one, you get him another wide receiver. That's number one. Number two, Jake Ferguson has got to step his butt up this year. Jake Ferguson has got to do and be exactly who Kelsey said that he has the potential to be. When you got a tight end, because when you think back to those Super Bowl teams for the Dallas Cowboys, another staple of those Super Bowl teams, a wide receiver, a running back, and a chain-moving tight end. Not necessarily explosive, but a chain-moving, sure-handed tight end that can block and alleviates pressure off of the wide receiver. And then, of course, getting him another wide receiver. But let me tell you, also, the run game. The run game is going to help alleviate some pressure off of CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, because it is going to allow both of them to be able to use play action to get some big plays down the field. So the problem is, it's not just Dak Prescott we've done this to. We've done this to CeeDee Lamb also. Can you imagine CeeDee Lamb in 2023? Hey, CeeDee Lamb, it's you or bust. What? Yeah, it's you or bust. That's not what you want. Because it's not just predicated upon him being good. Because I don't care who you are. It is hard to beat double coverage. Someone underneath, someone on you, and then someone even over the top of you. It is hard to beat this kind of coverage they were putting on CeeDee Lamb. What the Cowboys needed was someone else to look to. Somebody else that could beat one-on-one. And again, as somebody so truthfully and comically pointed out, and it also requires your offensive coordinator not to just be running hitch routes all day long. Amen, Walls. If you just running hitch routes all day long. No, you got to get some creativity to get some guys open. So a lot of things are going to help the Cowboys out. Boy, Ty Church, I like that. He said Blue is the new Alvin Kamara. D Block, he said Booker was an offer they couldn't refuse. D Block. You're absolutely right. And D Block, tell me if I'm wrong. Based on your college football watching analysis, maybe in another draft, they might could have circled the block and said, Booker might be there if we come back around. Not in this draft. Booker was not going to be there. Booker was not going to be there in this draft if the Cowboys circled the block. He wasn't going to be there because people went bananas on them trenches, man. They went bananas on them trenches. The dude, he said 2 years ago, I loved Broder's opinions because he didn't hold back. But last season, he started to kiss Jaron Stevens' backside. Oh, I noticed it too, the dude. I did notice some of the stuff he was doing last year. I know what you're talking about. Let's see what he does this year. Madman, he said Blue is Tony Pollard. But let me tell you something. Blue, if they use Blue right, Madman, Tony Pollard cannot touch this dude. Tony Pollard can't touch this dude. The speed, the quickness, the ability to stop and start. This dude's tape. Boy, I'm telling you, when Will McClay looked at this dude, he said, hey, man, this dude's potential is off the chart. He looked at this dude tape and said his tape is off the chart, man. All you have to do is put a game plan together to get the ball in this guy's hand. If you can get this guy on the outside, and that's what you got to do with Jaden Blue. You got to find ways to work him towards the edge. If you don't work him towards the edge, find ways to work him into the crossing routes. Find ways to run him into the crossing rub routes. Boy, you get this dude one-on-one on something, I'm telling you, it's over. You get this dude on a crossing route, it's over. I just want y'all to just dream for a moment. Can you imagine Cavante Turpin and Jaden Blue lined up on the same side doing a rub route? Who you take? Who you taking? You on the side where Cavante Turpin. You on the side with Cavante Turpin and Jaden Blue. Tell me what you're going to do. You're the two cornerbacks, or you're the cornerback the linebacker, and the safety back there. What are you going to do with two dudes who run 4.2 40s? What are you going to do? I tell you what I'm going to do on that side if I'm over there covering them. Y'all can have anything 10 yards and up. Because there is no way we all about to come up here on bump and run, press coverage. We are not going to come this close on receivers this fast and let one of you Jets get loose because it's over. The safety would not have a chance on one of the... Man, I'm just telling you, if the play design is right, it's over. Yes, sir. D-Block said the linebacker they drafted can also play edge. He might turn out to be a pass rushing linebacker. I think that's what they may use him for. Yeah, Revel injury set him back, but it was a plus for us. It was a plus for us. It's a plus for us. If he's healthy, it's a plus for us. And Trayvon Diggs, bro, you gave us some great years. But if Savon Revel is is healthy, Trayvon Diggs getting traded. If they can find a trade partner and convince him that he's actually healthy. But again, the way the Cowboys did this thing with the draft was perfect. It failed, even though it didn't fall the way that they wanted it to, because you can tell in day 2, if you look at the body language versus day 1, versus day 2, versus day 3. Day 1, even though they missed Tet, they were kind of like, yeah, man, Tyler Booker. Day 2, you could tell they were happy because Savon Revell was a steal. Donovan Ezaraku, he's more of a technician. So he's going to have to beat people more with technique because he's also a little on the size. But on day 3, boy, I said it before the draft was over. I said, y'all watch how Jerry Jones come in this room. Boy, Jerry Jones came in that room Jerry Jones came in that room like he had bought a whole nother, like he had 2 franchises now. But again, let's listen to Brian Broaddus. I'm sorry, let's check him out.
Million, and we were just kept talking about receiver, and they were just sitting there looking at their board going, okay, when we set this thing up, there was obviously a gap between McMillan and Golden and their stack. There obviously was. We all believe, well, they're just going to pivot. Once they lose McMillan, they're going to pivot to Golden, and we'll see. History will see if they were right or wrong. But they clearly had players, and I know a couple of days up leading to the draft, I was trying to kind of talk through, and when Jerry Jones came out in that press conference and said, we haven't set our board, that was kind of a clue to me that they were having discussions about where some of these guys were going to fit. And they obviously did an exercise where McMillan was off the board, and they said, no, we're comfortable with Booker right here. We're comfortable. They had a gap between their receivers, and the gap.
See, Broaddus is explaining exactly what I explained. I hadn't even heard this. But listening to Jerry Jones, listening to Stephen, McClay, and Broaddus, they stuck with their board. And it is obvious, blatantly obvious. They didn't have a first-round grade on Matthew Golden. The Cowboys did not have a first-round grade on Matthew Golden. The Cowboys didn't have a first-round grade on Emeka. They didn't have a or let's say it like this. Or if they did, they felt like the Tyler Booker was higher. But again, with them needing a wide receiver, how low were they on the board for them not to take Matthew Golden? Because everybody thought Matthew Golden was a shoe-in for the Cowboys. Because we kept saying, need, wide receiver. And everybody was thinking the Cowboys are going to spend that. They thought, I believe, like some other teams thought. I think some other teams, too, thought that Golden was a 12 for Golden was too rich. Why? Because we've seen these fast wide receivers before. We've seen them come in, run these 4.29s at the combine, and everybody's talking about this is going to be the best wide receiver since sliced bread. Don't work like that. Speed does not equal super uber talented receiver. It doesn't. But again, he's just explaining what I said. They played through scenarios, obviously, and they had came to the conclusion that if Ted McMillan wasn't there, those other wide receivers and running backs were not going to reach that far down to get them. They would rather risk getting them on the circle of the block. Tyler Booker, I'm with D Block. They looked at it as an offer they couldn't refuse. Great kid, SEC, like the dude says, Alabama, NFL factory. Great locker room guy. Tyler Booker, with the combination of all those things, you could not pass him up. Because I bet you this, if you did, you probably would have seen him on one of your rival teams. You'd have seen him on and the Cowboys said, no, we're not turning him down.
App happened to be one of the players that they drafted. So I give them credit. I always, you always want them to draft the board, take the stack, don't jump tags, take the players you want, and then fill in the pieces later as you go along.
Do teams like manipulate their board at times? Is that philosophy that happens?
Yeah. That happens. I mean, there's a couple of times where, if you remember, even the Jerry Jones when Johnny Manziel was on the board, and Jerry was trying to manipulate the board, and Steven and Jason Garrett and Will McClay wouldn't let him do it.
D-Block.
Jerry. We lose Ryan Shazier. Jerry reminds the room that, hey, Johnny Manziel's still on the board, guys, and everybody's like, no, we got Zach Martin. Zach Martin's the next tag. And so it's, but yeah, you get some teams. Unfortunately, Tom Siskowski lost his job because of, if you go back to the Sharif Floyd draft, where they had him in the top 5 on their board. And all of a sudden, Rod Marinelli comes in and goes, well, I don't like him in the top 5. And now there's a little bit of that chaos there. And so you're kind of having to move around. So, but yeah, it's teams do.
My advice to Dallas Cowboy fans on George Pickens: do not hold your breath. I do not believe George Pickens is coming to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think his character fits what they're trying to do. He's not coming to the Dallas Cowboys.
Kind of say, well, maybe we need to go do this now. Maybe we need to do that. And unfortunately, that's just like window dressing your board. And to me, that's just not the best way to operate.
Brian, do you think it's also just a function of the fact that they didn't get the wide receiver too, as a function of just the way things fell ahead of them? So,
yes, sir.
Like if McMillan is there at 12, they take McMillan. If Burden is there at 44, they probably take Burden. And I don't know, who knows? Maybe if they get to 76, I don't know how much they liked Trey Harris or Jack Besh, but maybe Besh or Harris make them.
See, Bobby Belt is saying the same thing I said, guys. I said the same exact thing. We don't get these players we have if Ted McMillan is there. Because D-Block, he made a point. He said that the only first-round guy they wanted was Genty. They've already said it, though, D-Block. I can't remember where it was. I think Jerry said it on I think Jerry might have said it on day one. Jerry flat out said who they were looking for at number 1, because Genty, they had already put him out of their mind. The wide receiver that they had rated as a number 1 wide receiver and the pick that would have been above Booker, that pick was Ted McMillan. Ted McMillan, because even when you look at the response of Michael Parsons on Bleacher Report, when Ted McMillan went off the board, that dude Michael was like, man, that was our pick. No, he meant that. He meant that. I think the consensus on the team, I think the consensus in the building was the Dallas Cowboys were getting Ted McMillan. And the Cowboys did a masterful job, as much as you can as being the Dallas Cowboys. They tried to hide their hand. They tried hard, guys, because they didn't really say a whole lot about Ted McMillan. I mean, they threw up the smoke screen. Man, Matthew Golden, the little interview started going viral, and they talking to Matthew Golden, calling him coach. He called him Coach Jerry. And then Jerry Jones, they talking about Jerry Jones called Matthew Golden mom. Smoke screen. Absolute smoke screen. Knowing full well in their minds, the only wide receiver we have rated as a first-round wide receiver is Tedera McMillan. And if he's not there, Matthew Golden, we love you. We love your mama. But we're not picking you at 12. I'm just wondering, will Matthew Golden come out later on and say he thought he was going to the Cowboys? Because everybody else thought he was going to the Cowboys. The Cowboys, man, they did a masterful job of hiding they wanted Tedera McMillan. Didn't matter, though, because if you look at Tankathon, that was the one pick Tankathon got right. Tedera McMillan to the Carolina Panthers. I don't even know if he gets past Carolina. Tedera McMillan, as much as people, and this is why you got to be careful with some of these people talking about Tedera McMillan was dropping. If Tedera McMillan would have got past Carolina, I don't even know if he gets past the Saints. I don't know if he gets past the Bears. I don't know if he gets past the 49ers. It still would have been an uphill battle for the Dallas Cowboys to get Tetairoa McMillan, because a lot of people look at Tetairoa McMillan. When you think about Matthew Golden, his biggest appeal to people is the speed. But when you look at Tetairoa McMillan, the biggest appeal is the body size and the Spider-Man hands. Folk ain't worried about speed. With Tetairoa McMillan, you're not worried about speed. You're not worried about him breaking tackles, big plays. No, you worried about, with Tetairoa McMillan, you say, but he's going to make plays. Because he's going to make plays. Volleyball player background. He can jump sky high. They were talking about the way that he jumps. He doesn't jump off 1 foot. He jumps off 2 feet. This dude, Tetairoa McMillan, I guarantee you, I'd have been shocked if he'd have made it to the Cowboys. And so the Cowboys, you notice what they did? I thought this was another indicator how the Cowboys were playing their board. Man, when the Cowboys' time came up, man, they didn't even hesitate to pick his end, to pick his end, to pick his end. The Cowboys, it was like they were playing chess. The Cowboys had thought 3 plays ahead. And even Jerry talked about the system that they had in place. He said there were no surprises. He said artificial intelligence was just basically telling them if this player was gone, this is who they should pick, or is this player going to be gone? The Cowboys, it was like they were 3-4 steps ahead of the moves that were happening, because Jerry was bragging about it. He said, we didn't get surprised. So he's saying, we knew Tetairoa McMillan, it was a good chance Tetairoa McMillan was going to be gone. That's why the Tyler Booker pick was ready so quick. They knew, but I do think the one move that shocked everybody on day 2, I'm telling you, Quinshon Judkins going before Travion Henderson, that shocked some folks. And again, this is kind of what Bobby Bettles is explaining. It's the same thing I was explaining, and I'm not a Cowboys insider. I was listening to the way Jerry was describing that doggone board. I already knew they were sticking to that board. You could tell. They were very disciplined when it came to that doggone board. And you can tell more than they ever have in the past. They stuck to that doggone board. Hey, D-Block, they stuck to that board, bro. Them jokers didn't move from that board. They didn't do it. And I applaud them, because if they, people got to understand, you put all these hours into a board and got all these players on there. Man, you go in there and mess up that board by doing one move off that board, the whole board. You might as well ball the board up or take it off the wall if you do that. You might as well chunk that board in the trash if you go off that board. So you got to stay in that board. You got to stay on that board, and they did it. And this is exactly what Bobby Belichick is explaining too. Some of these players the Cowboys have, they wouldn't have got them had those other players been there on the board. And it's pretty obvious who some of them are. But again, man, sometimes when you don't get what you want, it is amazing when you wind up with what you need. It's amazing when you wind up with what you need. Boy, we're going to look back on this draft. I'm telling you, I am not going to be surprised. We're going to look back on this draft and we're going to be talking about, man, Will McClay's a genius. Will McClay is a genius. Hey, D-Block, boy, let me tell you something. D-Block, people were saying Quinshon Judkins was gold. His stock was rising up the board. People started talking about it. And I don't know if y'all remember, I threw this nugget in. People were talking about Ashton Jeanty with his shirt off and going talking about, oh man, he was made in the factory. And I mentioned this. I don't know if anybody remember it. I said, if you've been around football players enough, especially some of these genetically freakish athletes that are just born with muscles and then they go in the gym and they just amplify the muscles. Ashton Jeanty was really nothing new. And then I said, go look at Quinshon Judkins' workout. Quinshon Judkins looked like he was built in a factory too. And Quinshon Judkins didn't have a whole lot of wear and tear on his body. He had the least amount of carries to get to 1,000 yards. Quinshon Judkins is also explosive, and I said it. If you're looking for the combination of the power back and some speed, Quinshon Judkins is actually your man. Quinshon is the type, to me, he's a 3-down back. Quinshon Judkins can go from 2nd and 10 to 3rd and 1. I think Quinshon Judkins kind of shocked the Cowboys a little bit. I think they probably thought they were going to get that joker, but nope. That joker was gone. Straight up gone. My girl Angie, what's going on? Yeah, you stay safe. Yeah, you stay safe. Don't be trying to text and drive either. You got this one message in, you get another one in when you get stationed there. But again, I got your package sent out. I appreciate you. But the way this draft turned out, man, this dude, Jaden Blue, and this dude, Maffa, I'm just telling y'all, they're going to be a problem. They are going to be a problem. The Cowboys, if they work this thing right, they'll be able to get them both on the field at the same time. They're going to be a problem. Whoo, man, they're going to be a problem. I'm just hoping the scheme is right. And the one thing I do like about Brian Schottenheimer, understand, he is not like Mike McCarthy. Brian Schottenheimer may run a variation of the West Coast offense like a lot of these coaches, these new, younger coaches do. They run a variation of it. But where they're smarter than Mike McCarthy runs the stale. He runs the stale as is West Coast offense. The younger coaches, the Sean McVay type of coaches, these guys, they run a lot of the more updated stuff. Andy Reid, they've added a lot of wrinkles to it to where it looks totally different. They're not just running quick slants. They're not just running slants and hitches and just running straight to the defender and turn. They're not running those dumb hitch routes and stuff like that. The real innovative coaches, they're taking that West Coast skeleton and they're adding all kinds of wrinkles to it. They're the ones that's adding the crossing routes, the rub routes. They're adding all the variation of the routes. They're putting some seams on there, some goals. They're running all kinds of different combinations. And that's why, again, do y'all remember the Texas Coast? Now we know. That wasn't Mike McCarthy. He'll even tell you. He'll tell you the story now. It wasn't Mike McCarthy. That was Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer looked around the league, figured out what was working, brought it to Mike McCarthy, convinced Mike McCarthy to let him implement some of those new things into what he was already running. Hence, we got the Texas Coast. And Mike McCarthy even verified this even more when Mike Zimmer was saying he wished he would have implemented his own defensive scheme when he first got in there. Rather than adapting his own system and running the system that was already in place, Mike McCarthy said, I did the same thing. I left Kellen Moore's stuff in place and kind of, for the sake of Dak, I left some of that stuff in place and then we kind of tweaked it or whatever they did. Texas Coast. It was a West Coast skeleton with Kellen Moore's language and some of the stuff Kellen Moore was doing. Shotty came back and even more so updated it with some of the latest stuff other teams were doing. So I'm just saying all that to say, Brian Schottenheimer, the one thing I like about Brian Schottenheimer is not afraid to look at what the league is doing and say, we're going to run it too. We'll run it too. If it works for them, it'll work for us too. That's the part you like about Brian Schottenheimer. So it's gonna be exciting. If he can use this dude Jordan Blue right, it's gonna be nightmares, man. The dude said no, G. He said McCarthy runs the mold coated version of the West Coast offense. Man, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, because there's a lot of coaches run that West Coast, but you don't realize they're running the West Coast because they're not afraid to modernize it. Add their own wrinkles, their own little twist. They make it look different. They're not afraid to put like other concepts with it. Mike McCarthy, boy, he loves it. He is a Steve, what was his name? He's a Bill Walsh disciple. Or George Seifert, whichever one he learned it from, or Mike Holmgren, whichever one he learned it from. Boy, he is a disciple of that stuff, man. My man Darren's the CEO. Boy, he said Jordan Blue and Micah and Phil Maffa are going to be better than Felix. Shoo. Boy. Let me tell you something. You know who was an absolute great combination? But because Zeke wound up getting hurt, that it didn't come to fruition the way that we wanted to. Boy, let me tell you something. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, man. Zeke wound up getting hurt. Y'all remember that? Zeke got that hyperextended knee. Boy, if Zeke hadn't got hurt that season, I believe Zeke and Tony Pollard was going to be a problem. Zeke didn't run the same, though, after that hyperextended knee. And if I'm not mistaken, we found out later on there was some kind of tear or something in that knee. There was some kind of tear or something in that knee. And so that running back combination got sidelined. But, boy, let me tell you, Tony Pollard and Zeke, they were about to tear this thing up until Zeke got hurt. But this combination, man, I think it's got the potential to probably be one of the best that they've had. But I'm going to tell you, man, this doggone dude, Maffa, man, this dude is a bell cow back. He a 3-downer. He's a bell cow back. He's the type of back, and this is what has me excited. He's the type of back you can leave in for 3 downs and still bring Jaden Blue in. How about lining Jaden Blue up in the slot? Let him run those jet sweeps. Let him run the jet sweeps. Can y'all imagine getting Jaden Blue on the screen? Fake the handoff. You fake the handoff to Phil Maffa. Jaden Blue out there sitting over there pretty for a screen. I'm telling you, man, we about to see what Shotty made of. Because Shotty is going to have some weapons. We about to see what he made of. And then when they bring in this, and we're going to see. Let's temper our expectations on this number 2 wide receiver. I'm just telling you. The Cowboys, in order for there to be another receiver to come here, Jerry has already let us in on this. He's going to have to be better than Jonathan Mingo. And what do I mean by better than Jonathan Mingo? He's going to have to be better. Not than what y'all or me, and I'm not going to even include myself. He's not going to have to be better than what some of us believe Jonathan Mingo is. He's going to have to be better than what the Dallas Cowboys think Jonathan Mingo is. Because there are a couple of those people in the Dallas Cowboys organization. I'm just telling y'all might not understand what I'm telling you, though. Boy, they got high marks on Jonathan Mingo. They got high marks on this man. Some of us, Daniel M is driving the bus, and I don't mean it in a negative way, Daniel M, because you're not the only one. I'm saying you driving the bus. There are a lot of folk on that bus. They don't believe that Jonathan Mingo, they don't believe he can be a 2. I can tell you who do believe he can be a 2. I believe Jerry Jones for sure think he can be a 2. And Brian Schottenheimer is going to give that joker every chance he wants to be the number 2. This is why I'm telling us, be patient. Be patient about this wide receiver thing, because the Cowboys, they're going to wait. I believe they're going to wait unless they get something that they can't refuse. They're going to wait. And I'll be honest with you. Y'all think about this, and we're going to get back to Brian Broaddus. Think about this. Maybe we do need to at least see Jonathan Mingo, don't we? I mean, we at least need to see him lined up with Dak Prescott, don't we? Don't we think we at least need to see what does he look like lined up with Dak Prescott? Because I'm telling us, Jerry and those guys are not writing him off. They're not writing him off until he writes himself off. And they're going to give him an opportunity to write himself off. So Jerry thinks he's more talented than what some of us believe that he is. He does. And I'm going to tell you, I've looked at some tape on Jonathan Mingo. Hey, man, Stu's a big body wide receiver. Mingo's a big body wide receiver. He got some skill. I would put him in the classification just based on what I saw. What was the wide receiver? Man, his name slips my mind now. The one that got hurt and retired on the Raiders. Because I see Mingo maybe being a better. Y'all already know who I'm talking about. Put his name in the chat, and then we'll talk about him after this one on Brian Broaddus. But I see him as more of a replacement for him, but a bigger version of. But y'all tell me what you think. Y'all already know his name. I'll look it up while we're looking at Brian Broaddus.
It's close enough to Revel that they go, okay, well, that's a need enough, and we have him graded closely enough that we can go that direction. Do you think it's just they were in a kind of no man's land where receivers that they liked in that range were getting picked off, and so the next one, if they would have taken him there, they would have really been jumping their board?
All right, so listen up. State Farm was trying to charge me $197 for car insurance. No, thank you. I got a friend who told me about this website.
Yeah, no, I think they might have had the receivers that you're talking about in position to take. And you're a little bit at the mercy of the draft at that point in time. Now, they really didn't have the capital to be able to say, listen, we're about to lose one of these receivers and we need to go get one. They were, without that 4th round pick and their unwillingness to give up their third round pick, like I said, that was the 11th best player on my board. So I applaud them for not moving.
Mingo's a better Michael Gallup.
They could have very easily given up that 3rd and gotten back and moved up and grabbed one of those wide receivers. But I kind of had an idea, Bobby, and we talked about it on the G-Bag Nation, that they were going to come and tell us that, hey, one of these receivers, where it's Mingo, with Tolbert, one of these guys that got to step up. I think they still have a plan for trying to go and grabbing a receiver. I really do. Whether it's in free agency, there's maybe some avenues they can go there, and maybe even to trade for some of next year's capital can go get them a receiver. So I don't think they're done with trying to grab a guy now.
Trade another 4th.
Yeah,
that every year now anyway.
That's
so
what we do.
Trade another 4th round pick.
We trade the 4th. That's what we do. Brian, when I look at this, though, we talk about, there were a lot of people who said it wasn't a needs draft. But it is interesting when you look at, you get Booker at right guard, you get Ezeraku at edge, Revel at corner, Blue at running back, and you look down the list. I think there's a case to be made that your top 4 picks, and then maybe Toya, and maybe even James, I don't know, if things go a certain way, you could have 5 or 6 of these guys start games for you next year, potentially.
Absolutely.
Man, let me tell y'all something. I have never considered myself an offensive or defensive line guy. But there is a player for this in this draft. And I've been saying this. Have y'all been listening to my language? The Cowboys didn't get who they wanted, but they got what they needed. We may not realize it right now, And I'm gonna give a shout out to Boss Cowboy. Boss Cowboy has been beating the table on trenches. He's been beating the table on this stuff, man. Boss Cowboy been putting up lineman after lineman after lineman, boy. And boy, woo, I'm gonna tell you, I'm included. Boy, some of us looking at them things going, no, because we wanted a sexy pick, wide receiver. But the issue is the Philadelphia Eagles, after beating the brakes off the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody said, we got to get these trenches built. We better get our own trenches built. We better get an offensive line that can handle a pass rush, like the Philadelphia Eagles. We better get us an offensive line that can handle a pass rush like the Houston Texans, like the Los Angeles Rams. We better go and change the way we're doing our team. A lot of these teams, they all did the same thing. It wasn't just the Cowboys doing it. They all did it. And that's why when you look at this draft, the Cowboys may have taken, quote unquote, best player available on the board. I don't find it to be coincidental, though. When you look at how this draft turned out, yeah, them BPAs also turned out to be exactly what you needed. Because y'all tell me what you think on this. D Block, Savage, y'all watch a lot of this college football. Louise, y'all chime in and tell me what you think. I believe the Cowboys needed Tyler Booker. I do. The more I think about this draft and evaluate it, they needed him. Because when we really be honest with ourselves, were we really, even though we like some of the things the Cowboys did in free agency, were we really comfortable with, we don't want another offensive lineman in the first round? But were we really comfortable if the Cowboys didn't get an offensive lineman until the 5th or the 6th round? Were we comfortable with what they had? Now, I said, prepare yourselves. I thought the Cowboys believed they already had what they needed as an offensive line. But Jerry even said this, and I don't know if it's true, but I'm just telling you, this is Jerry Jones talk. He said, after Zach Martin retired, but in particular after Tyron Smith retired, and he started thinking about the value of them and what they did, and thinking about the team, how good they were, it made him say, hold on a second. Rather than us saying that we have Zach Martin's replacement on this team, you don't just lose a Zach Martin and say, Brock Hoffman, come on over here. Even though Brock Hoffman is going to make Tyler Booker better. Because Brock Hoffman is a dog. He's going to battle Booker for that job. And I love it. This is exactly what you want. He's going to battle him for the job. I don't think he's going to win, but he's going to battle him for the job. But now that we've had this draft and Tyler Booker is over there at right guard, how much better do we feel about this line now than we felt about this line before the draft? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't follow college football like y'all do. Some of y'all do. I will be this year, though, now that this is going to be my second year with the Cowboys channel. I'll be watching college football a lot closer than I have in the past. But now, after watching this past Super Bowl, after looking at some of these things, no, the Cowboys needed Tyler Booker. They needed Tyler Booker. because bringing in Tyler Booker takes you from a point of uncertainty to a point of certainty. Tyler Booker is the icing, the cherry, and the decorations on the cake that makes all of us go, doggone it. Boy, we got an offensive line, man. This dude, Tyler Booker, after we got him, tell me in your mind you didn't say, okay, we need a wide receiver still, but we got an offensive line. Now that we got Tyler Booker, we got 2 question marks on the offensive line. And the Cowboys did such a good job in free agency. And now in the draft. Tyler Steele, you don't know this, bro. Because let me tell you, Brock Hoffman, the thing I love about Brock Hoffman, man, Brock Hoffman has to be one of the greatest signings the Dallas Cowboys had this year. To sign Brock Hoffman for a meal, to get Brock Hoffman for a meal ticket is robbery. When Brock Hoffman's contract comes up, I hope he gets paid. I hope he gets paid. Somebody tell me Brock Hoffman isn't worth more than $1 million for a season. Brock Hoffman is a steal for the Dallas Cowboys, and he got a chip on his shoulder. This dude is so versatile. Brock Hoffman might be able to play everything on the Cowboys line except for left tackle. Terrence Steele ought to be afraid of Brock Hoffman. He is that versatile. Tyler Guyton, bro, you on notice. Tyler Guyton is on notice, y'all. The Cowboys have basically told Tyler Guyton, bro, you're going to turn it on or else. You're going to get your butt up out of here. You either going to do good this year, and it ain't going to be late in the year. Boy, you better show out in training camp. This is not going to be like years past. But in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the Cowboys line after this draft, do you not kind of say, got a pretty good offensive line. We got an offensive line that can compete. We're not guessing anymore. Tyler Booker is good. He is good. He pro ready. He pro ready. He just gave us more flexibility. He pro ready. We got to be feeling pretty good about that offensive line. And I'm going to tell you my absolute favorite pick in this draft. Well, I shouldn't say absolute. He's number 2. This kid, Toya. Boy, this defensive tackle, Toya, man. Boy. This dude, Toya, got me excited. This dude, Toya, just added another dimension to this defensive line. Because now that you got Oso Digizua, Toya's going to push Mozzie Smith. I do think Mozzie Smith is going to take a step, but it's not just the fact that he's going to take a step. It's the fact that now we have a rotation. We have a defensive line that is so deep and so good enough that we can have a defensive line for running downs and a defensive line for passing downs. Tell me we had that last year. This is what this draft has done for us. And so now, rather than us having a draft where people are saying, ooh, we didn't get what we needed. No, we got a whole lot of things that we needed. We just don't understand it yet. We were not ready for the Green Bay Packers in the trenches in 2023, and nobody wants to realize it. I've been saying it for months. We were not ready for the Green Bay Packers in the trenches. Them boys rushed 4 on us and beat the decals off our helmets. We couldn't stop the run, and we couldn't run the ball. They fixed that. And you ain't seen nothing yet. They're not even where they're going to be on this thing. You watch what I tell you. This draft, people are saying we didn't get what we want. No, we didn't. We got what we needed. And the Cowboys, again, be patient on this wide receiver stuff. Because if you holding your breath on this, you're going to suffocate. You're going to suffocate. The Cowboys want to see what Jonathan Mingo is. And again, Carl, he said it. He said, I saw film on Mingo. He was wide open. He was. And I'm gonna do a film session on that. He was. He absolutely was. Patrick M., he said, that's what I was thinking when our pick was up. The wide receivers just wasn't there without reaching. It's exactly what it was. He says that's why they address these spots, so when they draft day come, they can take BPA. The result, improved O-line. Yes, sir. Let me tell you something. We didn't get that sexy receiver that we wanted. But I bet you can sleep better now because you go, you know what? We still need a wide receiver. But our offensive line, whoa, man, it's looking pretty doggone good right now. It's looking pretty doggone good right now. Our defensive line, I'm sorry. If you don't think our defensive line look good, you ain't looking. I'm just telling you, you're not looking. Boy, that defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys right now has the potential. We got to see it on the field. We got to get them boots on the ground. But boy, when you look at that offensive line on paper, I don't think people realize how good this offensive line, how good this defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys, how good this thing looks. Man, Toya alone made that thing look that much better. And then we got Dak Prescott's doppelganger over there too. Man, I'm telling y'all, Cowboys look good, man. They look good. The dude, he said, I've accepted that Jerry wants Mingo as wide receiver too. You better believe he does. And I'm going to tell you for a second, and the reason why we know this, the dude, if they didn't think he had the potential to do it, they would have reached. Jonathan Mingo made them not reach. And did not tell y'all what Jerry was going to do. He's classifying Jonathan Mingo as the 4th round pick. He ain't tripping. The dude says those 7 picks, 5 through 7 rounds, I would have bartered a few for a 26 draft pick to use a trade deadline, barter for a wide receiver in case Mingo doesn't show up. No, they're saying he's showing up, the dude. They're banking on this dude. They're banking on him. And again, they bartered one of those players, but they went up and got the linebacker that they wanted. They wanted him bad. What's his name? Shamar James? I mean, not Shamar. James. They wanted him bad. They saw something on tape, the dude, that made them want him bad. They traded up to get him. They wanted him bad. Intelligent Savage, he said, Addy and Turpin, I believe Shotty will utilize better than, boy, yes, Mike McCarthy underutilized Turpin. He said, did out the backfield with about 3 touches a game with Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa is going to be some, whoa, man. Boy, I'm with you. Hungry Heifer, he said, our problem was not wide receiver talent. It was pass blocking. Well, tell me this, Hungry Heifer. I don't know about you, but after this draft, I'm feeling pretty good about pretty good about this offensive line now. They're gonna be ready. Ice Cold Cowboys, you right. He right. He said Jones didn't bring sexy back. And I'm gonna tell us something. We were not sexy in the 90s as people thought we were. The Cowboys were not sexy. No, they were nasty. The Cowboys were nasty in 92 through 95. They were nasty, man. The Cowboys could beat you every which way but loose. Every which way but loose. They could run, they could pass, they could play the lottery game where we could, hey, you want to go 30, we can go 30. They didn't win all of them, but you want to go 30, we can go 30. But they could also play the close game. And they love them. They could play the game. Hey, we'll keep you below 17. We don't mind beating you 21-17, 24-17. I love it. Danglim said, they did what they had to do in this draft, but my expectations on my own is low because I'm afraid that the teams who are ahead of us got better, and I'm afraid that we're in trouble. The Eagles didn't get better. The Eagles actually didn't get better. The Eagles lost players after the Super Bowl. We don't know what those players are going to be. The Eagles actually didn't get better. The Washington Commanders. I am not concerned about the Washington Commanders. The Cowboys almost beat the Washington Commanders twice with Cooper Rush. With Cooper Rush. And no run game in sight. Playing against their starters. Now, in the last game of the season, they started out with their starters. We were beating up on Jaden Daniels so bad they took him out. But again, Marcus Mariota is nothing to sneeze at. Marcus Mariota is a really good backup quarterback in this league. He's probably one of the better ones, even though people don't give him credit for it. And it took a last-minute throw. The second game, we almost beat him with Trey Lance. I'm not worried about Washington. I don't care how much better they got. I'm not worried about Washington like some people are. I think sometimes because we're so down on our own teams, we over-glamour those or over-glorify those other teams. I'm still adding in two factors when it comes to the Cowboys' performance, and I'll give it three. Three factors in the Cowboys 2024 season that has me confident that Dak Prescott, who is 9-4 against the NFC East, if I'm not mistaken, Dak Prescott is still going to own Philadelphia, Washington Commanders, and the New York Giants. He is still going to own them until he leaves Dallas. Why? Well, one, he's Dak Prescott. He's Dak Prescott. And he's always owned them, period. He's owned them. Number two, Dak Prescott healthy. He's proven they can't beat him. Even during their Super Bowl run the first time, Dak Prescott owned Philadelphia. He owned Filthy, even in those seasons. Number three, so we finally got us an offensive line. Okay, I'm good. We finally got us a defensive line. I'm good. We got Brian Schottenheimer rather than Mike McCarthy. I'm real good. I'm real good. Mike McCarthy, stale play calling, didn't know how to use his weapons, poor clock management. I'm fine with Brian Schottenheimer. I am not. I don't understand. I can understand it, but I don't understand it. Man, I'm not. Philadelphia needs to get a whole lot better. They needed to get a whole lot better. And I know that ain't going to sit right with some people. No, they needed to get a whole lot better because I'm telling you, they're not repeating. Philly is not repeating. Philadelphia, I said it before, they got what a lot of championship teams needed. And it's not a knock on Philadelphia. You can't help but to play who's in front of you. Do we not realize there were things that helped Philadelphia out exponentially? One, Mike McCarthy was on a lame duck contract. This whole thing was just a total mess in 2024. Number two, Dak Prescott got hurt. You can attribute some of that even to Mike McCarthy's terrible play calling. Number three, the Detroit Lions got decimated on defense. Do we not realize Philadelphia needed some luck? And a lot of teams do. It's not just them. Championship teams need luck. You don't believe me? Let's go back just for a moment and revisit the history of one Tom Brady. Does anybody remember the Tuck rule? Because if it's not for the Tuck rule, I don't even know if we have the legend of Tom Brady. I don't even know if we have the legend of Tom Brady. Ask Patrick Mahomes. How many plays have the referees helped out Kansas City with? How many questionable calls have the referees helped out Kansas City with? Winning championships, guys, I'm sorry. Unless you're just an absolutely dominant team, you need some luck too. Yeah, you need some luck too. Let me tell you something. Colin Kaepernick, it's neither here nor there with me. I don't go with all the whole Colin Kaepernick narrative. But let me tell you something about Colin Kaepernick. For about 3 seasons, I believe it was, Colin Kaepernick was a force. There was pass interference. There was some pass interference in the Super Bowl that robbed the 49ers against the Baltimore Ravens. You don't think you need some luck? We don't always look at these seasons in totality. And there are teams, they are just absolutely dominant and they don't need a whole lot of luck. They just go out there and beat the brakes off teams. But the Eagles did get some help. It's not their fault they got the help, but they got some help. The whole NFC East got some help. The Cowboys had already slammed the door and turned their back on Mike McCarthy. I don't care what anyone says. People can argue until they're blue in the face. I'm not going to argue it. The way the Cowboys did Mike McCarthy in that last season, they had shut the door on him. If they hadn't shut the door on him, why didn't they do for Mike McCarthy in the offseason what they're now doing for Brian Schottenheimer? Playing in free agency. Doing what they did in the draft. Why didn't they do this for Mike McCarthy? Why didn't they tweak his coaching staff? Why were they not fighting to try to get him a number 2 wide receiver after 2023? Why didn't they bring the 2023 team back and say, no, we're going to bring that team back and we're going to tweak it because we're going to get a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy? Why didn't they do that stuff? Tell me anything you want to. I'm telling this man, the way this thing and some of these things are going, the Cowboys are doing this all different. You can tell they want to win. They absolutely want to win with Brian Schottenheimer. And this is one of the reasons why, man, I'm not afraid of anything as it pertains to the NFC East. Philadelphia was great, but like a lot of championship teams, they needed some luck too. And they're not going to get it this year. I don't believe they're going to get it this year. The Dallas Cowboys, they are not going to be decimated the way the Cowboys got decimated in the middle of the season. They're not going to have terrible play calling, terrible concepts, defense, discombobulated. Even the Dallas Cowboys defense in that first part of the season, I mean, Micah Parsons talking about on Thanksgiving. We just now getting the playbook. I mean, getting the playbook and the concept. It's Thanksgiving, bro. It's Thanksgiving. We're not going to see any of that stuff. I'm not worried about Philadelphia. I'm not worried about Washington because it's still as much as we like and respect, coach over there, we also know what he is. We also know what he is too. Dan Quinn is responsible for one of the hugest collapses in NFL history in a Super Bowl. He is a part of the legacy of Tom Brady. Dan Quinn has had a problem. I don't care where he goes. Dan Quinn has always had a problem with stopping the run. He was here during that stint where we couldn't stop the run too. Some of it is, I know Jerry had him playing safeties with linebackers, but Dan Quinn, this has actually been his MO for a long time. Not worried about the Washington Commanders. Cowboys are going to be fine. And I don't think those teams got as better as people say. And again, y'all can tell me anything you want to about the Washington Commanders. Not worried, because we've seen this stuff. Jaden Daniels comes in here, lights it up in his first season. Dak Prescott lit it up in his first season. These quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, they come in, they light it up in their first season. We see this stuff over and over and over. And then the NFL says, hold on a second, hold my drink. The NFL says, we got tape on you now. The NFL says we got tape on you now, and we're going to study you all off season. And I promise you, you will not look the same in the second season. You will not look the same in the second season. Go ask Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow came in, got an injury, came back his second season when he finally got healthy. Joe Burrow went and tore his league up. Joe Burrow almost got a Super Bowl. Tore the league up. There's something called attrition. Everybody battles it. There's something called losing players, salary cap. I mean, there's so many different things that happen. And then you find yourself where you thought you had a championship team, just like the Houston Texans thought they had a championship team. We find the Houston Texans, even with a great defense, they're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. They're trying to build their team up so they can get over the hump too. With C.J. Stroud that everybody was talking about, he's got more playoff wins than Dak Prescott or whatever they were saying. Well, look at him now. This league catches up with you. Not worried about Jaden Daniels. And again, we've seen this from Philadelphia. We've seen it from them. We'll see what they look like. But the Cowboys, much improved. I'm good with it. Nowhere near concerned. The dude, he said, once I thought Jerry and Steven did want Mike back, but you definitely changed my opinion on that. Jerry declining Chicago's request to interview Mike McCarthy, I think that was just a bit of a spite. Man, Jerry had no intentions. If Jerry would have had intentions, he'd have signed the man. Bottom line, he'd have signed him. Jerry didn't. Somebody explain to me. What did Jerry need to see from Mike McCarthy in 2024 that he hadn't seen the previous 3 seasons? The previous 3 seasons where Mike McCarthy had went 12 wins in a row, 12-win seasons in a row. Can somebody explain to me again what he had to see in 2024? What did he have to see? What did he have to see? Isn't it amazing? Mike McCarthy ended he ended his career with the Cowboys the way he began it. He began his career with the Cowboys. Dak Prescott went down for the rest of the season. Season was terrible. Last season of Mike McCarthy's career, Dak Prescott goes down. Finishes 7-10. What did they need to see from Mike McCarthy? I'm telling you. They can say anything they want to. No. If they would have wanted him, they'd have signed him in 2024 and been done with it. If they'd have wanted him, they'd have signed him after the 2023 season. Nope. But I tell you this, they have who they want now. Boy, they treating Brian Schottenheimer good. And I don't think Brian Schottenheimer's making all the decisions. But again, I try to tell people about leaders. Some people don't understand what a leader is. Leaders don't make all the decisions. Not the good ones. Not the great ones. Great leaders don't make all the decisions. Great leaders empower people around them. They put the right people around themselves, and they empower those people to make the right decisions. They know how to work with the people that answer to them and they answer to. They know how to work. They know how to work with those people. And then their influence spreads throughout whatever it is they're leading. This is what's happening with Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer is not running the organization. Brian Schottenheimer is influencing the organization. That's what leaders do. Brian Schottenheimer is doing something that Mike McCarthy didn't do. Brian Schottenheimer knows what this is. Brian Schottenheimer knows who Jerry is. Brian Schottenheimer knows who Steven is. He understands how this dynamic works with Will McClay. He understands the desire, the love that they have for certain players. Brian Schottenheimer understands that. And unlike people like Mike McCarthy, when he comes in with a chip on his shoulder talking about, yeah, man, I got a Super Bowl already. I know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? I got all the analytics and blah, blah, blah. It's not how Brian Schottenheimer came in. Brian Schottenheimer didn't come in saying, hey, man, I know it's my first time doing it, so I got to do it my way. I got to do everything my way so people know I'm in charge. It's not how Brian Schottenheimer is doing it. Brian Schottenheimer knows the environment he's in. He understands the people he works for. He understands the legacy of the team that he's coaching. He understands how big it is, what it means to the fans, but he also understands culture. He understands communication. Notice Brian Schottenheimer. He's very humble. He's a humble individual with a very nasty tenacity when it comes to football. You think about Brian Schottenheimer and you look at him and you be like, man, this dude right here, he's pretty cool. And then he starts talking football and he starts using words that you don't expect to come from a guy like him. He starts using words like violence. Yeah, violence. Yeah, we want to be violent. He starts talking football and then you're like, wait a minute, you're an offensive coach. And he starts talking about stuff like trenches. Championships are won up front. He starts talking about stuff that you want to hear, running the football. This guy is the embodiment of a leader. He's not a guy that's telling you he's a leader. He's a guy that everyone else is telling you is a leader. This is one of the things that Dak Prescott said about Brian Schottenheimer that he liked. And again, I'm just telling you, Dak Prescott is a company man. And when Dak Prescott was standing up for Mike McCarthy, this man was doing company man stuff. Give him one more year, man, and let him do it his way. And don't let Jerry, do this and do this and do this. While simultaneously complaining about some of the very things that Mike McCarthy was over. Oh, the coaching, the practices, we're practicing terrible. Well, that's Mike McCarthy. But then the moment Brian Schottenheimer gets the opportunity, who's advocating for him? Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott said something about Mike McCarthy that told me everything I needed to know. He said, with Mike McCarthy, it's different. He said Mike McCarthy was one of those guys who had already won a Super Bowl. And he came in with the mentality, I've been there and done it. He said, but Brian Schottenheimer, he comes in with a different mentality. He hasn't done it, and he wants to do it. He's got a desire and he's got a drive to do it. And what did Dak Prescott say? And I want to be a part of doing that with him. I want the championship. I have the same type of chip. The same type of chip on my shoulder. And I'm telling you, when you get coaches who have won Super Bowls, they come into your building different. They're walking around saying, give me respect. You ever worked with somebody before who has accolades, skins on the walls, employee of the year, or somebody who maybe they were the top in their field at once upon a time? I mean, they got all these different accolades. And when they come into the room, you ever notice how different it is? They walk into the room like, yeah, man, been there, done this. Yeah, but you don't know who I am? I'm me. I'm me. You don't get to treat me like this. I didn't come to serve. I came to be served. You go with me, you going off my name. So if you go with me, ain't nothing 50-50 with me and you. Ain't nothing. No, everything is about me. That's how those type of people are sometimes. And sometimes rightfully so, because they put in the work. They put in the work. They've made the sacrifices. They have so many different things, but their attitude is different. But then you get somebody who come in, and it's not the skins on the wall. You get somebody who come in with the right mentality. They understand how to do it. And then they come in the room and everybody's wondering, like, why is everything working with this dude? He ain't been here and done this before. But he know how to do it. Because he got where he is through the right channels, the right way. Maybe it took him a little bit longer. Maybe it took a lot more work. Maybe it took some turn downs. Maybe it took so many different things. But then when he gets there, everybody's surprised because, man, this dude ain't never done this before. But he's doing it better than the guy who been here and done this. There's a difference. Brian Schottenheimer, people don't understand. And when I hear people talk and say stuff the way they talk, you can tell people don't understand what a leader is. We crown people leaders sometimes based on their accomplishments. Have you ever heard this saying, never meet your heroes? You ever met a person that's been highly successful for one reason or another? See, sometimes we look at the end of somebody's story. We don't look at the middle. We don't look at what got them there. And sometimes you're looking at somebody and you go, man, they're really successful. Surely they must be a great person. Well, you'll find out quite a few successful people. They're terrible people. They use people, abuse people, throw people away, step on people. They do whatever they have to do to claw their way to the top. And then you meet a person, you think, I'm finally meeting you, man. I've been wanting to meet you. And boy, they greet you with the coldest stare, the coldest handshake, and they're treating you different because they're your hero. But you're nothing to them. You're nothing. And they treat you like nothing. And you realize something, man. This person right here, I mean, not going to take away from what they've done, but I question how they got here. But then there are other people, when they really love people, they do it the right way. It might take them a little bit longer, or maybe a lot bit longer to get to a certain point. But boy, when they get there, they arrive. Telling you, man, Mike McCarthy Brian Schottenheimer is a different type of cat, man. People aren't giving this guy enough credit. No one is saying this dude has won the Super Bowl. Nobody is saying he's going to be coach of the year. But I'll tell you this, it's not going to surprise me. It is not going to surprise me if Brian Schottenheimer turns out to be the coach of the year. It's not going to shock me. He's the kind of leader that everybody in the organization is getting behind him. He didn't come in saying, I'm the leader. He's working so hard, everyone's calling him the leader. That's what a leader is. When everyone calls you the leader, you don't say, I'm the leader. They say you're the leader. They say you're the leader. That's what we're watching with Brian Schottenheimer. And that's why I'm so excited about what I'm seeing. See, this is why some people, you don't want them on your team. Because with some people, they walk by sight and not by faith. They walk by saying, oh, look at what he's done and all this stuff, so surely he's going to do it here. Well, we've had Bill Parcells. We had Bill Parcells. He didn't do it here. We had Mike McCarthy. He didn't do it here. It's strange to me that the coach who actually got the Super Bowl, isn't it strange? He had no previous NFL experience. All he had was a game plan, an understanding of the game, and an owner who said, I want to win. Tell me what I need to do. And if you listen to Jerry Jones at those press conferences, the one thing that kept blowing my mind is how Jerry kept trying to heap so much praise on top of Brian Schottenheimer. And did you notice Brian Schottenheimer? Every time they heap praise on Brian Schottenheimer, he did what real leaders do. He pushed it back towards the people who deserved the credit for the hard work they had put in. Will McClay and the scouts. I'm just telling you, man. I'm just telling you. This is why I'm so confident in what this team is doing. This is looking to me similar to what the Joneses did when Jimmy walked into the room. They like this dude, and they have a lot of confidence in this dude. And they're allowing him to lead through his influence. I love it. I love what they're doing. I love exactly what they are doing. I do. Y'all talking about Amari Cooper. Let me tell y'all something. It's going to take a miracle to get Amari Cooper back in Dallas. Amari Cooper in Dallas is not a money thing. Amari Cooper in Dallas is not a money game. Just like, y'all better listen to what I'm telling you. There is a reason Kellen Moore did not come back to the Cowboys for a second interview. People do not realize how messy Mike McCarthy was. Folk don't realize how messy this man was. Kellen Moore did not get fired from the Dallas Cowboys. He left. He left because Mike McCarthy shamed this man after the San Francisco loss and blamed it on Kellen Moore. Blamed it on Kellen Moore, talking about, I just want to run the ball. Oh, so you're saying because Kellen Moore didn't run the ball, that's why we lost the game. When you know that Tony Pollard broke his leg and Zeke was ineffective. But you used that opportunity to push blame on Kellen Moore. And in the court of public opinion, everybody started blaming Kellen Moore. Y'all remember that? It's strange to me that Dak Prescott, one of the playoff wins he got was when Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator. And I'm still telling y'all, folk don't understand how crazy this is. Do y'all realize the Cowboys allowed Kellen Moore to leave the Dallas Cowboys and he was winning? The man retired Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dak Prescott had a flawless game against Tampa Bay. Kellen Moore, we don't even give this man this. Tony Pollard broke his leg right there at the end of the second quarter of the first half. And the Cowboys battle back in that game. They still battle back. Mike McCarthy pushed out Kellen Moore. When Kellen Moore, I guarantee you, when Kellen Moore walked up in that interview with the Dallas Cowboys for that head coaching job, man, that dude Kellen Moore probably walked in and kicked his foot up on the desk. I don't need this job. I bet you I don't need this job. I'm about to beat the coach y'all chose over me. I'm about to beat him out for the New Orleans Saints job. I don't need this job. I'm telling you, Kellen Moore didn't want this job. People are talking, oh yeah, Kellen Moore, the Cowboys didn't think about him. He didn't want it. And that's not a shot at Brian Schottenheimer. And it's probably good he didn't want it, but he didn't want it. Kellen Moore didn't want this job, y'all. They didn't want this job. He didn't want this job. And Amari Cooper, he don't want this job, man. He don't want this job, I'm telling y'all. Amari Cooper don't want this job in Dallas. If he wanted this job, he could probably have this job. Amari Cooper don't want this job. And they're going to have to pay this man to come up in here. I don't think, this is not a money issue, I'm telling y'all. Iceberg Slim, the dude, y'all are right on point. I was thinking the same thing. There's too much bad blood between Amari Cooper is one of those smart dudes. He questioned the coaching. He should have been He should have been questioning it. Amari Cooper is not coming back. The only way Amari Cooper comes back, they're going to have to sell him on Brian Schottenheimer, let him sit down with Brian Schottenheimer and understand that things are different now, because that is the only way he would even dream of coming back. Amari Cooper is not a money game. Amari Cooper is it's not a money thing with Amari Cooper. That joke ain't coming back here, man. I'm just telling y'all. They rubbed that man the wrong way. They rubbed that man the wrong way. He ain't trying to get back up in here. Yes, sir. D Block 88. He said, "You right, G. Yeah, he ain't coming back up in here. He don't want to come back in here." The dude said, "I watched the HBO documentary on Saban and Belichick, then now seeing Bill wearing all those Super Bowl rings to the NFL award show. Right then, I knew his mind has gone sideways." Have you seen what his girlfriend is doing over there in South Carolina or North Carolina, whatever one it is? She over there straight tripping.
Absolutely, yeah. To me, that the fact that, like I said, I in my heart of hearts, I knew if they liked Booker, or they were thinking about maybe moving Banks, that kind of thing. If they drafted Banks and they were going to move, that would have been a good pick. Does it fill something they could have used? Yeah. I mean, Booker's going to come in and start, that's just the way that's going to be over there. I mean, no offense to Brock Hoffman, but Brock Hoffman for 5 to 6 games is fine. Brock Hoffman for 17 games is not fine. So Booker comes in and will fill that role and probably fill it at a very high level. But yeah, every one of the picks, the Ravel pick at corner, him working with Britt Brown, getting back on the field very soon will help everything.
Broadus, what is your take on? Because I saw a lot of people say that taking a guard at 12 is not great value. I think it's. I have no problem with it. I think you shore up the interior, you shore up any offensive line position. I'm all about it. Where do you stand on that? Is that bad value?
The thing we hear over and over and over again is, why do
Cassie
I
Stewart, welcome to the show.
So I can just take a shower. So we put Mando.
Cowboys are way better after the draft.
I'm just about taking.
We'll talk about it some more in a moment.
I'm from
the Cowboys are way better after
the
the draft.
Taken, everybody was talking about you.
And also, Cassie, keep this in your mind. The season hasn't started. We're better, and the season hasn't started.
You can't take Ashton Genty at 12. You can't take a running back at 12. Yeah, you can if he's the second best player in your stack. I had Hunter number 1 and Ashton Genty number 2. My job is to take players, to take the best players. People talk about positional value and all that stuff like that. You will find, if you're good enough at this, you will find other players to supplement your team. That's your job. But your job, number 1, line 1, is to be able to take the best players. Taking a guard at that spot, I have no problem with that. I'm just trying to stack my players and the best players to the least. And whatever number I have on that board, those are the guys I want to take, and I should be comfortable with that. And I don't think, people talk about that all the time, positional value stuff, and it's the metrics thing and all that. Play one of these games without a runner and see how that goes. Try not to in your division, don't block Philadelphia's one techniques or the Giants' one technique or the Commanders' one technique. Don't block those guys and see how well you play. Is it positional value if you can't block those guys? Because you're saying, oh, wait, we can't take one of those guys. We can't have one of the best guys at that position blocking that guy. No, that's ridiculous to me.
Brian.
They're talking about, getting a guard. And a lot of us were like losing our mind about the Cowboys getting another offensive lineman in the first round. And I don't think, for the most part, I don't think any of us really had a problem with the Cowboys getting an offensive lineman in the first round. I think a lot of our problems is that you getting these offensive linemen in the first round. We want these guys to start producing. I mean, if you're gonna go in here and get us an absolute just dominating offensive lineman in the first round, man, there is nobody tripping on that. I think where we were starting to question this is, and I think who really put a bad taste in the mouth of Dallas Cowboy fans, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong on this, it's Tyler Guyton. A lot of people don't even realize that even though the Cowboys got Tyler Guyton in that draft, we're not giving them credit for Cooper Beebe. Man, Beebe is a boy. Beebe is a beast. He is an absolute beast at the center position. But again, Tyler Guyton got us feeling some type of way. Tyler Guyton has got us feeling some type of way. And so I don't think it was people like, okay, Tyler Booker, again, we got another offensive lineman in the first round. I don't think nobody was necessarily tripping on that. Again, I just think the fear of another player like Tyler Guyton. And let's give Tyler Guyton another shot. I want to see what Tyler Guyton looks like with this coaching staff, because I think that the offensive line coach from last year, I know he was a long-time offensive line coach. He just wasn't it, man. I don't know if time passed him by or maybe it was the personnel itself, but he was not it last year. The dude, he says, I say the Cowboys got better on account of Booker and depth added. Surprisingly, the best improvement came this offseason with free agent signings. Yeah, it's a combination, man. They did their job in free agency. And we talked about this. I talked about this. They set themselves up to where they could go to the draft and not have to spend draft capital in places of need as much of best player available where they needed it. Best player available where they needed it. And that is the key. That's what you want to do. You want your free agency to be so good that when you go to the draft, you're making sure, for example, okay, I need a cornerback. But I don't necessarily want to go in the draft and have to get 3 or 4 cornerbacks, and I only got 10 picks, and there are some other things that I want to supplement the team with. So how about I bring in Kyer Elam, former first-round pick? Let's bring him in. See if we can work him out. And if we can get him to turn out, we don't have to go and waste a draft pick on 2 corners. We can get now we can use our draft pick on, because now we know Siobhan Revel was on the board. He was on the draft board. So that's what that kind of allows you to do. You own it, the dude. Patrick M, he said, we got better and stronger. Hey, let me tell you something. Patrick M, people are looking at the players, and I appreciate it because I am too. But it's not just the players I'm looking at. It's the mentality. Brian Schottenheimer in the offseason, man, I don't think people understand. This dude has come in the offseason and turned this team's mentality from finesse and softness to nasty and violent. This dude changed this team's identity, and they haven't even hit the field yet. What do you think is going to happen when they hit the field? I'm telling you, man, Brian Schottenheimer has done something to this team's psyche. Yeah, Slim, they got better on both sides of the line. Both sides of the line. Yeah, ice cold. Booker is a starter. Guyton, I think the Cowboys reached. Guyton has the tools. The issue is, will he ever be able to use them adequately? Size, check. Power, check. Even the hands, in a sense, check. What beats Guyton is his feet. His feet were not quick enough. Myles Garrett, this is how you know how much power Tyler Guyton has. Myles Garrett underestimated Tyler Guyton. Myles Garrett thought he could just use strength and power on Tyler Guyton because Myles Garrett is, man, you want to talk about made in the factory. That dude is made in the factory. Well, he thought he could just use all his power and strength on Myles Garrett. Well, you're not going to beat him like that. He's a powerful kid too. But then somebody discovered he don't have the feet. If you dip him in, he'll bite. But then you go out. You dip him in and then go out, his feet were not quick enough to recover. If you dipped him out, he would go to the outside, but then you go back in, feet not quick enough to get back inside. So Tyler Guyton's problem is footwork. Footwork. Quickness with the feet. So the issue is are they going to be able to get that right this year? Will they be able to get that right this year? So we're going to see. But again, see, Guyton is the one that got everybody in their feelings about this offensive line stuff. Because I'm like, hey, hold on a second, man. Hold on a second. You got this dude and he ain't quite panning out. Patrick M, he says Donovan E is a monster. Yeah. Think about Ezraku, man. What makes him a monster is his technique. See, he's an undersized one too, but his technique is crazy. Technique crazy. The way he uses his hands, the moves. I mean, as they said in his report, he comes to the line with a plan. He knows, oh, okay, this is the move I'm about to make right here. I'm going to fake him outside, knock his hands down, do a spin move. I'm going to spin back inside, boom, 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 boom. I mean, he's already got that play in his mind. He's a technician. Well, again, we're going to do some tape breakdowns on some of these guys going forward. He's a doggone technician. So what he lacks, see, Michael Parsons, you think about Michael Parsons, what he lacks in size, Michael Parsons makes up for in speed and power. When you look at Donovan, what he loses in size per se, he makes up for with kind of long arms. I think they were talking about long arms and the technique. He can beat bigger guys with technique. So that's what makes him good. Yeah, this dude, man, I think we might be looking back. I think we might be looking back at this man talking about, boy, this man is a genius, talking about Will McClay. Ice Cold, he said, Guyton never even played left tackle in college. Yeah, right tackle. And they were saying the reason why he played left tackle was because I think they said it was an injury or something early on. No, the reason why he was playing right tackle, they said it was an injury or something to somebody early on. He filled in the right tackle, and they were trying to say he was naturally a left tackle. Shoo. Man, let me tell you something in this league. Boy, you better be him if you're going to play left tackle. Boy, you got to be him you're going to play left tackle in this league. Shoo. Boy, you got to be it, boy. D-Block. Man, D-Block, let me tell you something. Ferguson better step it up, bro. Even Schoonmaker towards the end of the season, we were kind of like, wait a minute. Schoonmaker is finally making plays. Schoonmaker seems to be one of these chain movers. Man, Ferguson better step it up. Aggie Pride, I've been hearing the same thing. Guy from Oregon may be pretty good. Patrick M, he said, G, 100%. Yes, sir. Guyton will come around. Hector, that's what we're hoping. We're hoping this year. They're already been saying that they think he's going to make steps, but I tell you this, they put him on notice too. Sounds like Jameson is watching some football. Intelligent Savage, he said, full facts, G. He said, BB's the only thing to save that O-line move we made last year. Not counting Gowden out too early for that, but BB was a true proof of purchase with the pick. Boy, wasn't he, though? Boy, BB. Man, BB paid off in spades, man. Daniel Gonzalez. Hey, man, I'm ready for training camp. I'm ready for training camp first, man. I'm ready for training camp because training camp going to be excited, man. Boy, we got Joe Milton the third coming into camp. Big quarterback, big arm. And the thing that I'm looking forward to, watch Will Grier. Everybody thinking that this dude finna come in here and just dominate. Watch Will Grier. Will Grier gonna push that joker. Will Grier, I'm telling y'all, a lot of folk don't understand what I'm telling you right now. Boy, this dude Will Grier can play, man. I'm not telling you he's a starter in this league because guess what? Joe Milton III isn't a starter in this league. But this dude Will Grier, watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. It's going to be an exciting, the running back battle. Will both of the running backs the Cowboys got in the offseason in free agency, will both of them make the team? Because if they do make the team, Malik Davis, who been on the Cowboys for 19 years now, Malik Davis, Deuce Vaughn, you out of here. Y'all out of here. Man, you want to talk about some battles. The wide receiver position, they're going to be battling. They're literally going to be battling for the third spot. One of them is probably going to be battling for a 2B spot. Because I do think the Cowboys, even though they're going to give Jonathan Mingo an opportunity, if they can find somebody of value that's better than Mingo, they're going to bring him in. There's no doubt about it. They're going to bring him in. The linebacker position to me is the one that's probably going to have the least amount of battles, but I'm still excited about the linebackers that we did get. But again, I'm excited about the Cowboys defensive line, the depth that they have there. Those guys will be battling in a sense, but I'm not so concerned about them battling because we have enough depth to where we're going to be able to put together packages, and that's going to make it even better on our defense. Less opportunities for injury because of these rotations and things you're going to be able to have with that defensive line. The offensive line is going to be an absolute battle. And I'm telling y'all, I am not counting out this man, Brock Hoffman. I'm telling y'all, this dude, Brock Hoffman, is built the right way. Brock Hoffman, y'all, built the right way. He is the exact type of dog you want on your team. This dude has worked his way through this thing. He's trying to claw his way to a starting position. He's trying to claw his way to secure that contract, to secure that bag. And I'm telling y'all right now, Brock Hoffman is not going to just lie down for Tyler Booker to come here and move him out of that position. He's going to compete. He's going to compete on the level that I will not be surprised if Brock Hoffman could find himself somewhere else on this line. I don't think this thing is promised to Terrence Steele. I don't. So I'm excited for the training camp to watch all these different battles, man. It is going to be honest. Sexy Suze. It's not just confidence. I'm just looking at how the way things are shaping up. And I do have my expectations kind of tempered. Because again, Sexy Suze, this isn't a one-year thing. I've been saying this. This isn't a one-year thing. You don't produce the best roster in football in one season. That takes 2 to 3 seasons. So after this season, we got to give these coaches time to get their feet on the ground, organizing practices, implementing their philosophies, their plays. We got to let all that stuff and see how it's going to develop. See how all that stuff is going to develop. And then we'll see how everything goes. But again, Sexy Suze, I want you to think about this. This is one of the biggest mistakes the Cowboys made last year, for example. So you got Tyler Guyton, you got Cooper Beebe. And the line wasn't, and Zach Martin, I knew Zach Martin wasn't right from the beginning. It seemed like he was trying to play through an injury, and he was getting his lunch handed to him. And I wouldn't say his lunch handed to him, but he was getting his lunch handed to him when you look at Zach Martin standards. One of the biggest mistakes that Mike McCarthy made last year, the West Coast offense, the run game is the short passing game. The run game is the short passing game. And the problem with that is that still requires your young offensive line to pass block. Tyler Guyton was not good enough to pass block. Point blank. Tyler Guyton was not good enough to pass block. And when your left tackle can't pass block, everything falls apart. Everything absolutely falls apart. Then you had Zach Martin, who wasn't at full speed. Everybody could tell Zach wasn't playing right. And the other factor, Sexy Suze, that doggone Terrence Steele. That dude took a whole step. He took probably 2 steps back. Ask any offensive lineman, what would they rather do? Run block or pass block? So you got a young offensive line that hasn't gelled, and Mike McCarthy comes out, and what does he do? Rather than running the ball with Rico Dowdle 25 to 30 times a game, what did he do? Rico Dowdle coming out running the ball 10 times a game, 12 times a game, mixing in a little bit of Zeke on 3 carries, basically running the ball around 15 to 20 times a game, having Dak Prescott to step back somewhere around 30 to 40 times a game behind a line that can't even pass block. The way you get your line better, you first let them get their confidence in run blocking. Well, Mike McCarthy don't like to run the ball. He basically left his line and his quarterback out to dry. A young offensive line, the way you really let them get their feet up under, run blocking. Ask them how they want to start it. Run blocking. You get to take it to a defense rather than you stepping back and then letting the defense tee off, make moves on a young offensive line or those, especially Tyler Guyton, who, if they're not running straight at him, he can't block them. Mike McCarthy left this doggone offensive line out to dry. He did. He should have been running the ball, letting them getting their feet up under them, letting them get used to just letting them mature, letting them gel as an offensive line, letting them do all that stuff. Brian Schottenheimer is really going to help this team because running the ball is automatically going to automatically give this offensive line so much more confidence. And the threat of the run, it makes the pass blocking easier. Why does running the ball make pass blocking easier? Because if you can run the ball, the linemen have to hesitate on every fake. they take a chance. If they say, I don't care what play fake you do, I'm going for the quarterback. Well, you're still taking a chance. Because if you don't go for the play fake and they see you're not going to go for the play fake, they're going to not fake it. They're going to give it to him. And that running back's going to run right past you. He's going to run right around you. So when you run the ball and you can run it well, you make the offensive line have to at least stop, look. That's all you need. That's why play action is so dangerous. That's why you have to be able to run the ball. This is why what Brian Schottenheimer is doing is so important. Because when you can run the ball, you make defensive linemen, they have to process. They have to process. They don't just get to put moves on your offensive line. Okay, they stand. Oh, okay, wait, push in. Oh, it's a run. Oh, it's a pass. Now I got to start trying to run towards the quarterback. This is a game of inches and seconds. You give a quarterback half a second. That's all he needs. That's all he needs. A lot of times we don't realize plays that worked and didn't work. The difference was time. The difference was timing. You think about the Super Bowl when the Rams beat the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think there might be some questions there if you go back and look at the tape. Because when you go back and look at the tape, it looks like that somebody jumped offside. Go back and look at the tape. Don't argue with me. Go back and look at the tape. And if you go back and look at that tape, if Joe Burrow would have had just half a second, Jamar Chase cooked Jalen Ramsey so bad that if Joe Shiesty would have just had half a second to just throw it up, Jamar Chase had burnt Jalen Ramsey so bad he was going to walk into the end zone. But this is a game of inches. Was Aaron Donald offside? Did he time the snap or did he go early? Which one did he do? And if he doesn't, quote unquote, time or go early, and if Joe Shiesty has a half a second, the game is over. The game is over. That's why being able to run the ball, what the Cowboys are doing right now, it is so important. It is so important. You have got to be able to manipulate, give your quarterback time. You have to be able to not let teams just tee off. Because I'm telling you, go back and look at the Super Bowl tape. The Kansas City Chiefs, because they knew the Philadelphia Eagles could run the ball so good, they sold out to the run. They sold out to stopping the run. And when you think about some of the few pass plays that Jalen Hurts did complete, and they were some beautiful pass plays, they were completed simply because the defensive backs of the Philadelphia Eagles, of the Kansas City Chiefs, go watch them. Peeking in the backfield. Safeties, peeking in the backfield. Linebackers, peeking in the backfield. They're all saying, we're stopping Saquon Barkley. And the Philadelphia Eagles, again, they did something genius. They ran Saquon Barkley 27 times, even though he got 57 yards. They made the Kansas City Chiefs continue to sell out and stop that run. And when a team can't stop the run, the pass blocking becomes so much easier. Because when they're expecting to run, they have to hesitate, they have to play on the fake, and then they have to get themselves rolling. Well, by that time, it's too late. By that time, it's too late. The wide receiver has probably already put a move on your corner. He's already probably ran through the zone. Now he's matched up one-on-one on a safety. And then you get that play that Jalen Hurts threw beautifully down. And even that one was a little bit underthrown. If he throws it out there even further, Devontae Smith, he gets that ball with nobody even touching him or tackling him. But again, it's a game of inches and time. And when you can run the ball, you buy your quarterback time. You buy your offensive line time because they say, oh, wait, A run, oh, doggone it, it's a pass. Now I got to recalibrate. So this is one of the reasons why Sexy Sue's, I'm just looking at what they're doing. Sexy Sue's. No, he's not a cheerleader. No, Brian Schottenheimer is not a cheerleader. Brian Schottenheimer is a leader. Cheerleaders don't influence. Cheerleaders cheer. You don't hear football players coming out in the game and they say, hey, man, what made you, what happened in the game? They say, man, the cheerleaders were cheering real loud. No, Sexy Sue's, he's not a cheerleader. He's a leader because that's what everybody is calling him. Everybody is calling Brian Schottenheimer a leader if we're paying attention. They're not calling him a cheerleader. They're calling him a leader. Cheerleaders say stuff like cheerleaders do. I can remember in high school football, my sons are out there and the team, they're getting beat 30-0. There's like 4 minutes to go in the game. And we got the cheerleaders on the sideline talking about, give me a V, give me a I, give me a C. You bet not be about to spell victory. That's what cheerleaders do. Being down 30-0. That's what cheerleaders do. No, Brian Schottenheimer isn't doing that. Now, he's leading. He's leading, and he's doing it in a very good way. He's leading. And that's what's making what he's doing so powerful. He's leading. And I absolutely love it. And this is why what they've done in this draft is going to be so powerful for him. But again, let's finish Brian Broaddus. And then I plan on, if the Lord is willing, I plan on coming back for the Cowboys after dark.
And Brian Broaddus joins us here on 105 Through the Fan. We talked a lot Friday morning about Tyler Booker, so the listeners have heard a lot about him. For those who don't follow along with the draft show, don't listen to the coverage, and this is the first time, all right, I'm getting a chance to hear about the new guys they got. Let's run down the list a little bit and get your thoughts on some of the primary guys. Let's start with Donovan Ezeraku, the edge rusher from Boston College, a guy who, I mean, this is a legitimate, I think a lot of people felt like borderline first-round player that is going to get after the quarterback. This guy wins a lot.
He wins a lot, and he knows how to bend. There was in this draft, there were some bendy guys, and there were some guys that kind of were better run defenders. This guy can legitimately rush the passer. This guy is one of those, the first step, that able to attack. He puts a lot of pressure on offensive tackles because his ability to play really, really low and dip, and then he knows how to finish at the quarterback. And they move this guy around a ton. This is very similar to how the Cowboys will play with Micah Parsons. They'll stand him up over here. They'll put him down over here. They'll make a matchup over here. Boston College did a great job. Tim Lewis did a great job of moving him around in order to make him have opportunities to rush.
Yeah, and you're seeing some of the video up on the fan cam right now of Ezeraku winning against North Carolina. And man, they used him, like you said, a lot of different ways. They'd line him up on both edges. They'd put him in the A gap. He's a.
Now, y'all notice on the film here. Let me go back on this Ezeraku film. When I tell you this dude is a technician, this dude, man, Lewis, I think Lewis was talking about linemen taking karate. Well, when you look at Ezeraku, he studied with Bruce Lee. Look at this dude. Watch his hands.
Move this guy around a ton.
Look
this
at his
is
technique.
Very similar to how the Cowboys will play with Micah Parsons.
His technique is
they'll
sick.
Stand him up over here. They'll put him down over here. They'll make a matchup over here.
Boom, steps inside. Look, this dude steps inside and then steps outside. That boom, and then watch his hands. Steps outside, inside, hands, boom, push the guy inside. He in there.
Boston College.
Bam, swimmed over him. Woo, this dude is a technician. This dude is a technician. Let's watch him again. This is crazy.
And they move this guy around a ton. This is very similar to how the Cowboys.
And again, I'm just telling y'all, this dude and Michael Parsons, Oso Digizua, Mozzie Smith or Toya, or Dak Prescott's doppelganger on the field at the same time in some type of combination. I'm telling y'all, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be crazy. Watch this dude technique again.
Cowboys will play with Micah Parsons. They'll stand him up over here. They'll put him down over here. They'll make a matchup over here.
Out in, swim move.
Boston College did a great job. Tim Lewis did a great job of moving
Look at
him
this.
around
Out.
in order to make him
In,
have
out.
opportunities
Swim.
to rush.
Yeah, and you're seeing some of the video up on the fan cam right now of Ezraku winning against North Carolina. And man, they used him like you
this.
said, a
Outside.
lot of
Oh.
different ways. They
Did y'all see that? Technician. Let's go back one more time. Watch the quick dip. This is why this dude, look how big the defender is versus him. This dude moves are crazy. Watch the quick dip. Watch him again.
Have opportunities to rush.
Yeah, and you're seeing some of the video up on the fan cam right now of Ezraku winning
Watch his
against
dip
North
right here.
Carolina.
Watch
And
his
man, they
dip.
used him, like you said, a lot.
Bam! Man, that dip was so quick, you don't even notice it. You got to look at how he dipped so quick. The back of his jersey looked like it turned totally towards the camera. Watch it again. This is crazy.
Fan cam
Man,
right
you
now.
got to look at this dude. You got to look at this to see just how crazy this is. Look at this.
Ezraku winning against North Carolina. And man, they used him, like you said, a lot.
Bam! It's over. He dipped so. Man. Boy, you dip, we dip. No. When he dip, you ain't got time to dip.
Different ways. They line him up on
Bam!
both edges. They put him in the A gap. He's
Watch
a
that.
really
Bam!
fun player. If a little bit undersized, but he's a really fun player. The guy you loved a ton, you've already mentioned. Tell us about East Carolina corner Savone, as we found out, Savone Ravel.
Boy, if this kid Donovan Ezraku, when you watch his tape, Intelligent Savage is talking about it too, how much of a technician he is. Man, boy, this dude's moves are crazy. Crazy work, Iceberg Slim. Iceberg Slim says Sam Williams and Donovan Ezraku, freaks of nature. Now, Iceberg Slim, understand. I think the difference, though, between Sam Williams and Donovan Ezraku, he's a technician. He different, man. Ezraku is different. This dude has moves like if a football player got moves like Jaden Blue will break your ankles. Well, I don't know what to tell you about Donovan Ezraku. If you're going to have problems against him. You got to be ready for everything. You have to be ready for everything on this dude. Get past this ad and then let's see.
It's time.
Savone Ravel is
Man, I'm telling you, boy, this dude Ezraku, boy, he is crazy.
He was one of my. If he does not have the knee problem or the knee issue, then he's going to be one of the best corners in this draft. And you know, at 6'2", the length. The first thing you're going to notice when you see him in person is how long he is.
The dude. The reason why Guyton had those pre-snap penalties is simple. His feet. His feet were so bad that he was trying to get, he know the snap count, but he's trying to get in position because he was afraid of getting beat. Not because he didn't have the power. He knew he needed to get set real quickly because he knew the moment they put a move on him, bam, he done. Boy, let me tell you something. Boy. A kid like Donovan Ezraku would have Tyler Guyton's head spinning around. I'm just telling you, boy, you have his head spinning around.
Is as a player, and it serves him very well. He's got really quick feet. He can play with the burst. He's extremely tough. I was watching the Michigan game. They try and run a play down on the goal line to the outside. It bounces to the outside. Edwards is trying to take the ball in, and Ravel meets him at the goal line. And you think, man, a corner with the back at the goal line is a disaster. Yeah, it was a disaster for Michigan because he didn't get in the end zone. This kid is extremely tough. He can rally on routes across the field, down the field. He's a hard guy to run away from. Dr. Cooper did the surgery from the Cowboys. You know he's in good hands there. And Britt Brown's about to grab this kid and really, really kind of take him to another level and get him back on the field very, very soon. So really super excited about the ability and what this kid brings to it.
We talked about a lot of running backs during the draft lead up, Brian, as Brian Broaddus joins us here on 105 The Fan. with the 5th round pick, the running back that the Cowboys end up getting is Jaden Blue from Texas, a guy I don't know that we talked about as much. And Aiden's going to throw up some video of Jaden Blue on the fan cam here. But tell us a little bit about your thoughts on Jaden Blue.
Mr. J, they're actually saying that Guyton's supposed to be better this year. We're going to see.
Yeah, extremely explosive as a back. He's, you think at 5'9", 196 pounds, he's a small guy. He is more likely to break tackles the way of avoiding tackles is what he's going to do.
Now, as you're listening to Brian Broaddus, I've been doing some research on Jaden Blue, and I'll talk about it more going forward. We're going to have a lot of time to talk about these players individually. But the thing about Jaden Blue, now when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, some people have him listed as 6 feet tall, but I think he's 5'9". Now, when you think about 5'9" and 196 pounds, that's actually not a small, quote unquote guy, but he's a smaller 5'9". You think about Genty. What is he? Somewhere around 210ish, maybe 210ish, 212ish. You get these running backs about around 5'9", and they're anywhere from 205 to 220. I mean, you're talking about muscle. Because when you talk about these guys' weight, you're not talking about like me, weighing like 235, for example. Well, 235 of muscle looks different. It might look slimmer, but it still looks different. It looks a lot more stockier. So when you think about him at 196 pounds, he's a muscular guy, but it's a slimmer frame. So he's probably what you would call a little bit of a smaller back. And one of the knocks on him, I want you to see it right here, contrary to what Brian Broaddus is saying. Because again, I went back and looked at these snaps on him. So I want you to notice what you've seen on 2 plays. This kid is a speedster. He can run between the tackles. That's not what you want. What you want with this kid is space and edges. Space and edges. Doesn't mean he can't run between the tackles. Now, that was the problem I had with Mike McCarthy's run game. Because Mike McCarthy was so reluctant to run the ball, there was no creativity. Mike McCarthy, he was basically phoning his run game in. I mean, you could basically look at the alignment of the Dallas Cowboys and know where Mike McCarthy was going to run. And I never could figure out, why was Mike McCarthy always running into the teeth of the defense? He was always running into the A gap, B gap. I mean, he was trying to run. It was like when he did choose to run, he was trying to run like we had some kind of power run game. We didn't have no power run game. If you'll watch how they're running him right here. When he runs like this, the only issue is he doesn't have the power of an Ashton Genty. He doesn't have the power of a Quinshawn Judkins. So when he gets touched, he easily gets thrown off course, and sometimes he goes down rather easy. Watch it again.
And Aiden's going to throw up some video of Jaden Blue on the fan cam here. But tell us a little bit about your thoughts on Jaden Blue.
Yeah, extremely explosive as a back.
Watch this.
You think at 5'9", 196 pounds, he's a small guy.
Watch the next play.
He is more likely to break tackles the way of avoiding tackles is what he's going to do.
See, he didn't actually get tackled if you pay attention there. He got kind of arm tackled. He runs past the tackle, but he stumbles to the ground. See, that's one of the knocks. That's what they had in the scouting report. He's the type of guy you want to get him in space. You want to get him on the edge to where no one can get their hands on him, because he goes from 0 to 60 like a Lamborghini. I mean, his starting and stopping ability, how fast he hits those gears. Oh, man, this dude is a force.
You get him in a one-on-one situation, it is a real problem for the.
See, that's what Brian Broaddus is talking about now. See, you want to get him one-on-one. In other words, you want to get him where people can't touch him. Because if you get him in a one-on-one, his moves, I said it earlier, this dude will mess up ligaments in your ankles and knees.
The defender, his ability to plant, cut, avoid, the quickness. He's an outstanding pass catcher. There's a couple of backs in this draft, him and Allen from Syracuse, who are outstanding. Smith from.
See, even the way Texas is running him, probably not the way you would want to run a guy like this because he's a speed guy.
SMU, outstanding pass catchers. This kid was one of them. You throw the ball to him in space, it is a nightmare for the defense to have to deal with.
Really quick, Brian.
See, that's exactly what Broadus is talking about. Space. You got to get him in space. And I'm pretty sure Will McClay on the scouting report, I'm pretty sure, based on what Shotty told him, remember what Shotty said in his press conference? Speed. Well, here's your speed guy. Shotty, get him in space. Get him in crossing routes. Get him out of the backfield. Get him in screens. He don't run him the way Texas is running him here. No, that's not what we got him for. You get Maffa for the bell cow stuff, the run between the tackles. That's what Maffa is for. This guy right here, and I'm telling y'all, boy. If the Cowboys can figure out a way to get him and Cavonte Turpin on the field at the same time, could y'all imagine him and Cavonte Turpin running a double reverse? Man, I don't even want to. Boy, I'm just telling you what I would be doing, man. This dude, boy, this be a Madden football game to me.
Just on the blue front, because I know Chop is going to have a question for you. You mentioned him as a pass catcher. Absolutely, like a legit
wheel routes, Texas routes. This guy's crazy out of the backfield. He is.
Mismatch that you can line up at receiver at times.
Absolutely. Yep.
There were some issues, and I'm curious if you had any problems with this.
Fumbles. I think he had 4 fumbles. He kind of double clutches the football sometimes on catches. We know he got some hands, but that's concentration stuff. We can easily deal with that. But let me tell you this. He has something that you cannot teach. Speed and moves.
Some swing passes he drops. Some swing passes that he'll drop, or he had a ball bounce off his hands against ULM. I think they got picked off, or he doesn't. So when you saw any of that on tape, did you look at that was focus or just some off target stuff that he maybe wasn't totally? What is that? Because you do see definitely some real pop as a pass catcher.
Focus.
Yeah, but and then you watch the Ohio State game where they swing him a couple of times and he gets 2 touchdowns as well. So
now let's look back at this interception real quick. See, this is the issue with some of these playmakers. Savion Williams has this same problem. When you get guys who are playmakers, they're always looking to make plays. Now, when I look at this play right here, I want you to kind of watch his head as he's going for this pass. At least this is kind of what I'm seeing. I want you to watch his head. Watch his head as the pass.
You watch the Ohio State game where they swing.
You see his head? He's looking at that. He's looking at that defender coming in is what he's looking at. That's what he's looking at. That's why this ball kind of, and it is a hot ball too. It is a hot ball. I mean, you can tell the way it's coming. Let's look at it again.
You watch the Ohio State game where they swing.
If you can see, he's looking around as if he can hear those footsteps. That ball gets boom. He's looking at the hit. That's how that ball got away from him.
He gets 2 touchdowns as well. So,
and 2, again, this is one of the reasons why I didn't want Quinn Ewers in Dallas. I was so glad that they didn't get him. I don't know about the placement of that pass either. I mean, if you got a guy running a hot route like that to where you know that the safety or whoever that is or the linebacker is coming, he's right there in the middle, and you're throwing that ball right there in that seam. Man, you got to put that ball down some so that he can quickly get that ball in his body and then protect himself rather than putting that ball fast and high to where he's got to extend his body out. And, man, if he goes up for that, man, it's going to be a McDonald's McRib for him. He might be done. So, again, you can see how he's kind of,
You watch the Ohio State game where they swing him a couple of times and he gets 2 touchdowns as well. So, sometimes receivers do have concentration lacks. Maybe the ball, got on him too quick. Maybe he didn't identify where.
Exactly.
Where it was.
Now, again, I still say this is a concentration issue. He's not done. He knows one-on-one out here. Once I get the ball in my hands, I make this guy miss. I'm second level because he is going to be second level if he catches this ball because I don't think this guy would have a chance against him. Watch him again.
He didn't identify where it was.
See, that's a focus issue. Look the ball in, tuck it in, now look upfield. No, he's trying to do it all at once. Look it in, look upfield, And sometimes wide receivers, some of them have this skill. They can look at the ball, glance, and that ball can still hit their hands because they're so sure-handed. They can look and tuck it in. Not everybody can do that. There's a reason why he's a running back. He's not a wide receiver.
He didn't identify where it was. I just see so many times with him, though, not just screen passes, but upfield routes, inside Texas routes. You know, those little out, then inside, quick break, boom, ball on him, and then he's north and south.
Nah. See, these are concentration issues. These aren't bad hands issues. He wants to turn
Texas
up.
Routes.
He wants to,
those little out, then inside.
And he did have to twist around backwards. Now, someone says, I have a golden rule is if I, to coach my sons on this stuff, ball touch your hands, you got to catch it, son. Ball touch your hands, you got to, I've done some coaching, a little bit of coaching for some youngsters in the past, and you tell them, ball touch your hands, you got to catch it.
Break, boom, ball on him, and then he's north and south into the end zone. Yeah, you're going to have some of those where you're going to have a couple of them where it could.
Now, see, that pass, a little bit behind him.
Get on you, or you didn't track.
Yeah, it's a little bit behind him.
Have some of those where you're going to have a couple of them.
Little bit behind him there. Little bit behind him. Don't know about that one. But you got to put that ball probably in a little bit more in front of him and don't make him change his momentum and turn around and stuff like that. That's
where it could, get on you, or you didn't track it the right way. But most of the time, everything that was thrown his direction was reception and resulted in.
See, that ball's hot, man.
To a big play.
Broadus, is there a team in the NFC East that you thought absolutely nailed it?
Studio.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
Quality AI images in seconds. One
if the Cowboys use this kid, right, he's going to be a monster.
Forever.
There's no doubt about it.
Create breathtaking images.
He's going to be a monster.
Well, I'll tell you what, there was a couple of teams that I really, really liked. I liked what Jacksonville did, and I liked what you're talking about the East. In Philadelphia, they had so many picks, and I think where Philadelphia did some damage was in the second half of the draft. Their first round picks, but that's a team that's very, very talent rich. They've got some guys that they made decisions on that they're going to move on from, but Philadelphia, to me, the players where they fell for them. I'm just talking about the draft in general too. Kansas City, Baltimore were another couple of teams where it seemed that the best players, I know on my stack, those were the ones, but I think Philadelphia helped themselves. I think the Giants absolutely helped themselves. I'm a fan of Jackson Dart myself. I didn't have him over Shedeur Sanders, but both those guys right there in the second round where he was picked, I think he was the 27th best player on my board. So right where he was taken, that's kind of where I felt. But Philadelphia, to me, the Commanders, the division, they picked off 2 or 3 players that are going to be factors in this year's season.
Last one before we let you go, Broadus. We've got a lot of people obviously who are curious about Shedeur Sanders. What did you think about him as a player and in general, your perception of his fall to the 5th round?
Yeah, I think it was unfortunate. I don't quite understand it from my perspective. I know on my board I had him as the 20th best player. I had 15 first-round grades. So
Robert M., what's going on? Yeah, I know it was probably some, Jerry, but man, I'm telling y'all, Mike McCarthy was terrible on this team, man. Mike McCarthy was terrible on this team. He was, and he didn't like, from what my understanding was, he didn't like Mike. He didn't like, because Amari Cooper is one of these thinkers. And he questioned the play call, and he didn't like it.
I don't quite understand it from my perspective. I know on my board I had him as the 20th best player. I had 15 first-round grades, so that means that put him in the second round where I would have had him or been comfortable selecting him. So, maybe on some other drafts he's a little bit further down, or maybe he's a little bit higher. But, yeah, the thing that, teams might not have liked talking to him in a way of they put him on the board. Maybe they didn't feel like that. They didn't feel very comfortable that he was able to process the information that they were asking him to do. He had a pro coach that was working with him, at Colorado, Pat Shurmur. So there's some elements of the pro game that you watch Shedeur Sanders, attempt to do and been able to be successful doing it. So I think, sometimes teams just don't like players. Maybe he came off bad in the interviews. There's a lot of talk about that. Maybe they put him on the board. They didn't think he was smart enough. Some teams, maybe teams will do different things to kind of get an idea about these quarterbacks. But it's very surprising to me, especially where I had him on my stack, how far he did fall. I think Cleveland got a hell of a quarterback. I personally had him over Dylan Gabriel, who I think Dylan Gabriel's a fine quarterback. But if you watch the tape, to me, the plays that Sanders makes off platform, throwing to his left, there's some things you're going to have to clean up with the feet and stuff, but they'll find a way to get that done.
All right, guys, we're going to skip
With
over
Spectrum's
the
easy
receiver
self-install
update,
kit,
so we're not
turn
gonna
on the
have an
anniversary
extensive
mode.
conversation
You can feel at
about
home
it
in minutes.
because there's really no conversation to be had about it. A lot of people, I've seen some stuff about Amari Cooper.
You're not home until you're
But
connected.
again, I'm just telling
Get
us
Spectrum.
up front. Amari Cooper, it is going to take a miracle to get Amari Cooper back to the Dallas Cowboys. There was some serious bad blood between Amari Cooper, not just Amari Cooper. This isn't just an Amari Cooper thing. This is also a Kellen Moore thing. This is a Mike McCarthy thing. They kind of rubbed some people the wrong way when Mike McCarthy was in the building. And so at this point in time, we are not going to I'm not seeing Amari Cooper. And I'm definitely not seeing George Pickens. George Pickens doesn't fit what this regime is trying to do. Anybody seen George Pickens? Let's be real with ourselves. Has anyone seen George Pickens on the Pittsburgh Steelers year after year? And don't get me wrong, he's got some dog in him, but he's also got some whiner in him. He's one of these guys that he gets bent out of shape when he's not getting the ball and blah, blah, blah. Bro, you think you were bent out of shape in Pittsburgh? Man, you coming in here to be the number 2 wide receiver. And even if you're the number 2 wide receiver, understand, you're the number 2 wide receiver. We got Kavontae Turpin. We got Jonathan Mingo. They're going to put in packages for him. You got Jaden Blue. They're going to use him also. They're going to try to create packages for him. George Pickens would be, I'm not saying he would be miserable here, but if he was tripping on not getting the ball in Pittsburgh, shoot, what do you think is going to happen here? Nah, George Pickens is not coming here. I'll be shocked if he comes here. I don't think it's going to happen. And just because someone said they want to have they're writing over here on Athlon Sports, they're saying that the Cowboys want a George Pickens-like receiver. Understand what they're talking about. They're talking about the talent, not the attitude. They're not talking about the attitude. They're talking about the talent. I think Keenan Allen is another guy that's out there for them maybe, but I think that it's going to have to be less money. And that's another reason why I don't think that one is going to happen. So again, when you're talking about the Cowboys, they're going to be looking for something cost effective. And so we're going to see how that turns out. And so I'm going to finish this session today with Shedeur Sanders. I've been listening to some things as it applies to Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders might have been doing some things that he probably shouldn't have been doing. I think one of the biggest mistakes he made was it's not listening to his father, Deion Sanders. It was listening to his father as if he had the talent of his father. Anybody follow what I'm saying? Deion was talking and advising Shedeur, in a sense, like he was him. Let me tell you about Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders has told these stories out of his own mouth. Deion Sanders has told stories that when he was interviewing for teams, he bombed interviews with teams on purpose because he didn't want to go to those teams. But Deion Sanders was so talented. People knew Deion Sanders was going to be him. He was him at Florida. Deion has been him his whole athletic career. Deion was a tour de force in high school, basketball and football, baseball. Deion is an exceptional athlete. When you're Deion Sanders, you don't have to go to the combine. When you're Deion Sanders, you don't have to play in the Senior Bowl. When you're Deion Sanders, you don't have to go to a team if you don't want to go to them. When you're Deion Sanders, you can bomb 15 interviews. There would have been 13 other teams lined up to get Deion Sanders, ready to pay him top dollar. Shedeur Sanders, from the quarterback perspective, was not on the level of his father versus everyone else at his time. Shedeur Sanders was the second best quarterback in a draft that was, let's be real, very weak. Very weak. It was a very weak draft. And one of the things that somebody pointed out today that I thought was very interesting, Shedeur Sanders was purposely bombing interviews. This is some of the stuff they're saying. He was purposely bombing interviews because he had already circled who he wanted to play for. And who he wanted to play for, I believe, is the New York Giants. It was the New York Giants. He circled the New York Giants because I can just remember he was showing things on his Instagram about the New York Giants, wearing New York Giants hats. Him and his father were making jokes about you, Russell, and Jameis. They're going to be having church before the games and all these types of things. And Shedeur, for whatever reason, he knew he was going to be the second quarterback picked. And so they talked about this. And I think this makes sense. When you are a player, you want to increase your draft stock. How many players increased their draft stock at the combine? I can tell you one player off the top who increased their draft stock at the combine, Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden increased his draft stock at the combine. Bashul Tootin, draft stock at the combine. There are players who do this every year because they know that they don't have the luxury like Ashton Genty. They don't have the luxury like Ashton Genty to say, well, I'm not going to the combine because I already know I'm going number one. I'm not going to the combine because I already know I'm going number two. Deion Sanders was similar. Yeah, he come in there and take his shoes off or whatever the case and run the 40 and leave. But he didn't have to go to the combine. Everybody already wanted him. They already wanted him. And so Shedeur thought he was automatically going to be the second quarterback taken. He didn't do the combine. He didn't do the Senior Bowl. They got video footage of him talking to, I forgot, the Angel Reese girl. And there was a game going. I don't know what this game was. Like it was some kind of touch football game or something. Or I don't even know. I don't know what it was. But she asked him, she said, why are you not playing today? And Shedeur makes a comment that, man, I'm telling you, this is the social media age. You can't get away from these cameras. He says, what the F am I playing for? What the F am I playing for? I'm a top 3 draft pick. No. No, don't do this stuff. Second mistake. Y'all do know who his agent is, right? Agent is or was. His agent is his dad. His agent is Deion Sanders. That's a no-no. And I know we say, well, Lamar Jackson. No, hold on a second. Lamar Jackson's mama isn't Deion Sanders. And Shedeur Sanders didn't have the talent of Lamar Jackson. And that's just not a knock on him. He just didn't have that kind of talent. Lamar Jackson was going to get drafted in that second round, regardless of them coming back and getting him as the last pick in the second round. But teams didn't want to deal with Deion Sanders. They just didn't want to deal with Deion. They don't view Deion as an agent. They view Deion as Shedeur Sanders' father, to where you couldn't tell Deion Sanders the shortcomings of his son or the things that you didn't like about his son. I was hearing some people talk about what agents do. See, agents, they are when teams are saying something about you, your agent, because they're talking differently. You take me, for example. If you go send me in to negotiate for my son, and then you start telling me, hey, man, your son, he ain't really got the footwork. He ain't this, he ain't that. Man, I'm going to probably feel some type of way. I'm going to have to really get my feelings out of the way so I can talk clearly and say, Deion Sanders, at the end of the day, that he should do Sanders' father. So it's going to be a different kind of conversation. But an agent, on the other hand, he's talking from a different place. One, he's talking, hey, man, this is business. Two, he's talking from a perspective of, hey, hold on a second, but we can maybe work on this. He really wants to play for you, whatever the case may be. It's a different conversation than just having a conversation with Deion Sanders, who had already said he didn't want his son playing for certain teams, and if the wrong team drafted his son, he wasn't letting him play, and blah, blah, blah. Problem is, Deion's son didn't have the talent that he has. Deion didn't need an agent. Deion was getting picked up in the first round. I don't care if Deion's talk bad about somebody's mama. He was going to get, he was getting picked up. Shedeur don't have that luxury. Because in a very weak draft, Shedeur was the number 2 pick. At least according to the media. But it's also starting to be revealed, according to people out there, that there were a lot of people who actually didn't consider. And I told y'all this early on. There were people who didn't have a first round grade on him. There is no way in the world he should have went as a 5th round draft pick. But again, Shedeur Sanders has already said if he could go back and do some things differently, he would do some things differently. And I think one of the things that he made a mistake on was, and I don't know if anybody's going to admit it, but I think he might have been trying to bomb on some of those doggone interviews because he thought he was going to one place and one place only. Because you think about Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams only interviewed with one team, the Chicago Bears. But I bet you this, if the Chicago Bears would have passed on Caleb Williams, how much do you bet Caleb Williams is going in the first round? Why? Because people considered Caleb Williams to be an absolute crazy talent. But I wanted to get that in because some people it kind of talked about Shedeur Sanders. And again, I don't believe Shedeur Sanders should have went in the 5th round. But I do see why now. I'm starting as more things come out, I'm starting to understand why some of these things were happening. And to finish it up with this, y'all do know that Shiloh fired his dad as his agent. Shiloh fired his dad as his agent. He fired his dad. And I don't think he did it in a mean way. I think he just kind of like the Ball family. They kind of figured out that, you know what, maybe my dad shouldn't be managing my career. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know he's kind of got it, in my best interest, but he's my dad too. So some of the things he's doing is in his best interest as my father. So we saw this thing with that kind of. I don't know if this stuff being your kid's agent. I'm not sure if that stuff kind of works out the way that you probably want it to. And so again, I feel for Shedeur Sanders. I do believe he's going to be a quarterback for somebody in this league, but he's got a great chance to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns because he should be able to beat everybody out over there. But again, like Shador Sanders, but I am so excited about what the Cowboys are doing. Cowboys are looking like they are going to be absolutely fantastic this season. And I'm telling us, man, I want us as a fan base to enjoy every minute of what we are seeing. Every minute of what we are seeing. Because we are in such a different age. I would have loved the opportunity. I would have loved the opportunity to be in a social media age when the Cowboys were winning in the 90s. Just to watch that entire process. I just love to see how teams do that. And I think we are watching a team that is emerging right in front of our eyes. Man, I am loving what we are seeing with the Dallas Cowboys. But in particular, the thing I love about what we're seeing with the Dallas Cowboys, it's the culture change. I've just never seen this. I just can't remember since the 90s seeing this type of evolution on the Cowboys. I just can't remember since the 90s of truly building a team. Jerry is great. I'm telling y'all, Jerry, even after Jimmy, he's drafted well. He just hasn't drafted and put together teams well. And that has been his biggest issue. Because when Jimmy was here, I'm telling y'all, guys, Jimmy put together great teams. He really did. Jimmy put together great teams. Jerry hasn't been able to do that. But the crazy thing is, Shoddy has helped him. Shoddy, I want you to think about what Schottenheimer said yesterday. The thing that Schottenheimer has done that is good is that he has really leaned on Will McClay. He's given Will McClay his vision. He's given Will McClay his vision. He's given the scouts his vision. He's given the coaches his vision. The coaches have given their input. And they're giving all of this to Will McClay. Will McClay and the scouts have went out and tried to match everything Schottenheimer was asking for. Everything that he's been asking for. And in the Will McClay way. Now, that's the part we got to follow too. In the Will McClay way, Schottenheimer allowed Will McClay in the Will McClay way to get him what he needed. When you think about stuff that Shoddy was talking about, Jaden Blue, speed, big playability, got it. Running game, okay, didn't get the sexy names. Mafa, okay, power back. And I could only imagine Will McClay telling him, hey, Shoddy, we're sticking with the board. We didn't get Quinshawn Judkins. We didn't get Hampton. We didn't get those power back guys like we would have wanted if they'd have been there. But this guy back here, Mafa, he is a sleeping giant. He is as good as some of these guys. And I'm telling y'all, I told y'all this before, college football is so big. You get these players, they go to the big time schools, the big name schools, and they win. And we put those names at the top of a lot of our boards. But if you go and start scouring college football, you'll find out, man, that there are some equally as good players out there who are just not on the big programs. Savon Revel Jr. There were a lot of D1 teams begging him to go into the portal. They wanted to take him away from East Carolina. They wanted to take him away from East Carolina. They did. They saw what this dude looked like, and even they were like, hold on a second. Let's get this guy on our program. But out of loyalty, he stayed at East Carolina. This kid could have hit that in. This kid could have hit the trade portal, and as good as people said he was, this kid could have hit the trade portal and hit the lottery. Stayed with East Carolina because they gave him a shot. Man, let me tell you something. I guarantee you that's one of the things that attracted Brian Schottenheimer and Will McClay to him. He's the exact kind of guy that you're looking for. He's the exact kind of guy that you're looking for. And it seems, too, when you think about it, they're trying to get guys who don't want to just come in and take advantage of the brand. They want guys who want to win, that will contribute to the brand, rather than guys coming in trying to leech off the brand. So, man, I'm telling you, these things that these guys are doing is great. The dude, he said, Jimmy definitely did, but don't forget how Parcells did the same too. Wade and Garrett capitalized on the work that Parcells did, revamping that roster after Campo era. Well, you think about it, though, the dude, a lot of people don't give Jason Garrett credit, but Jason Garrett was the one who was really trying to take the Cowboys back to the 90s. Parcells had a way of trying to build a team based on the way Parcells had built his own Super Bowl teams. But Jason was the one who really started trying to get them back to the 90s Cowboy thing. Jason Garrett deserves a lot of credit. And again, you know what? I wasn't feeling, but Parcells to me never fit as the Dallas Cowboys coach. I'm just telling you. To me, he never fit. Bill Parcells was an extremely old school coach. And man, I'm just telling you, Bill Parcells wouldn't have made it today. Because I still remember, even back then, man, this dude was calling Terry Glenn hurt. Man, you know what? I'm just telling you. Bill Parcells was already starting to be a dinosaur, even with the Cowboys. So I wasn't quite feeling the Bill Parcells thing. But I think Brian Schottenheimer, he's the closest thing I've seen, at least right now. We got to see what he does here over the next year or two. But Chanel, he said, gee, I can't say drafted well. We have drafted 3. It's that I have all been bust to me. Sorry. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. You know what, though, Chanel? A lot of people say the draft started falling apart up under Mike McCarthy. Iceberg Slim, he says, when you are a child of a rich parent, there will be jealousy and envy towards you. Yeah, he's battling all of this, man. Iceberg, he's battling a combination of things. He's battling a combination of who his father is. But I will say this, Iceberg Slim, let's think about this. I do believe he's talented. But to say that Cam Ward was the number 1 quarterback in this draft tells you everything you need to know. It really tells you everything you need to know. This draft was very weak for quarterbacks. Could Shedeur Sanders, where would he have been last year, for example, when he came out? But I think with Shedeur, he's the victim of who his father is, good and bad. On one hand, he's not a victim, he's blessed. But on the other hand, he's a victim of it because of how I think one of the biggest mistakes he made, man, don't let your father be your agent. That's crazy work to me. That's crazy work to me, man. You have got to let people who know how to do this stuff be your doggone agent. The Nigerian Nightmare, Phil Mafa, Chanel, this dude's going to be nasty, man. He is. Stephen White, what's going on? Good to see you. Again, man, I'm telling you, I'm excited about where the Cowboys are going. For sure. The Cowboys are going in the right direction. Oh, yeah, I see you. Intelligence said, that's why I don't always find it wise about these players jumping from team to team chasing dollars in the transfer portal. They have to think how NFL teams look at you, not staying true to your program. Man, hey, man, I'm telling you, you're right. And this dude, Savon, man. Iceberg Slim, they didn't do Eli Manning like that when he came out and said he didn't want to play for the San Diego Chargers. Yep. And I agree, I did mention that, Iceberg Slim. I do think the difference may be a little bit too is that Archie Manning, unfortunately, He's not Deion Sanders. And I think that Deion was really ticking some people off because Deion was kind of going on tour saying these things. But again, Iceberg Slim, it is being revealed. And I think Shedeur Sanders is saying that it's true. Shedeur was bombing interviews on purpose. A tactic that his father used. That was bad advice. Very bad advice. Shouldn't have been doing that. I don't think it justifies him still being in 5th round for the Cleveland Browns. But again, I do not think that was something he should have did. Ice Cold Cowboy, he said 48 million is why Cam Ward went first. I feel you. All right, guys. Appreciate you rocking with me. Got some more things to do today. Got some business to take care of. We'll see how I'm going to feel tonight. Have some news, maybe back for Cowboys After Dark. But again, I will continue to drop player profiles on the players that we have drafted. I got about 4 more to go. And then I'm going to start working on these free agents. And then we're going to be just looking just like how we did today with some of the interviews that people are talking about with the Cowboys. I'm very interested to hear some more stuff from the Cowboys on this draft. And then we're just going to keep rocking with this, man. And we really getting ready to start ramping this thing up. Chanel, I was just talking about Isaiah Bonds. I have not heard anything. Oh, yeah. And you know what? This is one of the new things that people are doing, Chanel. People are starting to sue these accusers. I mean, we saw this with Dak Prescott. Man, don't take this stuff. Sue these people. Stephen White. Man, let me tell you something. For the NFL not to fire that guy, if you worked at a company and there was sensitive information, and you're the one who has that sensitive information, and your kids put that information out, they would fire you. They would fire you. They really would. They would fire you. And I think he should be fired for not keeping that type of information away from his family. It's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Robert M., yes, sir. Appreciate you too and all your support, my brother. Appreciate you. Hey, yes, sir. Appreciate you. Hey. The dude, he said, great content. Be safe, everyone. Yes, sir. God bless. All right, guys, I'm going to get off here. Maybe I'll see you later. Yes, sir. Ice Cold Cowboy. Appreciate y'all again. Yes, Stephen White, huge breach. They should have fired him. But again, I'll see y'all next time on Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.